Hello, everyone, and welcome to Into the Wastelands, the Eternal Army. Thank you for joining us this evening for an evening of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Niall. I'll be your Dungeon Master tonight, and we are thrilled to be streaming at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. For those who are new to Dungeons and Dragons, everyone here plays a fantasy character within a fantasy universe. These wonderful 5 players each have their own unique, wonderful characters with character sheets that tells them what they can do, who they are, and all the goodness, and what dice to roll. And the dice that we'll be rolling are usually these wonderful D20s. A 20 is good, a 1 is bad, and it usually works like that. The lower you go, the worse you are, the higher you get that. And whilst they play their characters, everything else in this said fantasy universe will be played by me. Monsters, trees, you name it. Anything that they interact with, that's what I'll be doing. That's my job. And together, we will tell this wonderful story in these horrible wastelands and hopefully find out what this Eternal Army business is all about. Before we start, I'd like to invite everyone to introduce themselves, give their pronouns, the player character names, and the player character pronouns if they wish, and maybe a little bit about how they're feeling about being stuck in this new group, this new dynamic, this new situation. Hannah, would you like to kick us off, please?
Sure. Well, I am Hannah. I'm playing Protea, who is a coward, but also but a coward in the way that people very rarely want to admit to themselves. So thinks she can do anything. Very much wants to prove that. So it's her first real adventure with a group, and she's already spent most of it half up a tree. So it's going to be a lot about saving face this go around, I think. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Evie!
Hi, I'm Evie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Malice Facile, who uses he, him pronouns and is a drow psi warrior fighter thing person. Yes. And Malice is currently also on his first ever adventure, having spent a long time on failed ones on the other side of the coin as the baddies. Is feeling very unsure of himself, absolutely terrified of pretty much everyone in the party and their goodness, and is really just trying to feel it out at this point and is just very anxious.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. G!
Hi, I'm G. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing Vega, who also uses he, him pronouns. I think, like everybody else so far, Vega has also not really done sort of adventuring with a party before. Most of his fighting up until now has been in a gladiatorial ring, so it's sort of one-on-one. So I'm going to use that as an excuse for why he got his ass so comprehensively kicked last session. So yeah, at the moment he's mostly unconscious, I think, or coming back into consciousness.
Yeah. Mikey.
Hey, Mike. I'm playing Jamie. And I think all I can really say is she's trying really hard to be nice. Really hard. But some things are just going straight over her head. But we'll get there.
Beautiful. And finally, Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I am playing Veracity, the wildfire druid gnome. We both use she, her pronouns. Veracity is a little unsettled. Her last big adventure, it took about 30 seconds for her party to adopt her and tell her she was adorable and build up all her self-worth. So she was sort of expecting something similar, and this party are not meeting her expectations. She tried to be restrained and to give everyone their time to shine, and she managed some self-restraint for maybe 7 seconds, and then she lit everything on fire. So I think right this second, she's waiting to see if she's going to get told off or applauded or some explanation for why Protea is up a tree.
I do like the idea of this party being the anti-wholesome group. Like, if we could make sure that this party is just the least wholesome as possible, I personally, as a DM and viewer, will enjoy that.
I mean, functionally playing a Tory, so we'll see.
Oh no!
Oh god, I hate your character so much more now.
Yeah, I was willing to have an arc going, and now nope, she's dead to me forever.
Hey, at least it's not you, kid. But before we do kick off, this stream will run for about 3 hours, and there'll roughly be a 5 to 10 minute break somewhere in the middle, depending on my timings, which, as we all know, aren't very good. We're delighted to be sponsored by Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy races and thousands of parts to choose from. Their easy-to-use design tools lets you build your perfect miniature online using their fully 3D in-depth character creator right in your web browser. Hero Forge is constantly expanding the catalog of customization options, and they allow the ability to print color minis if you're not one for painting. So go and check out heroforge.com. We're also delighted to be sponsored by Ultra Pro. Get your tabletop organized with character folios and dice bags and card sleeves and all the wonderful things that you can get from Ultra Pro. They're the leading manufacturer and supplier of sports and gaming collectible accessories, as well as other gaming accessories. So join us in Twitch chat today. Win a gift voucher just by saying anything. Just dippity type it into the chat, and you can be put into a random draw, and these can be given to anyone all over the world. Yes, even you who are really far away. I know you. Yeah, we talked earlier, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Head to ultrapro.com, enter the chat, get some cool vouchers. We're also sponsored by the wonderful Elderwood Academy, who are a premium purveyor of bespoke gaming themed gear, including hex chest dice boxes, spellbook decks, boxing and rolling trays, disguised as bespoke ancient arcane tomes. I saw they were doing like a really cool leather mind flayer face recently, so go check them out because they are doing some really cool stuff. You can get 10% of your Elderwood purchase with the code roll-together, all capitals, at their checkout. So find out more at elderwoodacademy.com. We're also supported by D&D Beyond, your guide to digital D&D, and you can see everyone's character sheets on the overlay on the left-hand side of the screen, whichever side that is. We're also supported by Level Up Dice, and there's a link in chat for our Table Shakers range. Also, any links to any of these, just put in. Our mods will sort you straight out. We're also supported by 2 lovely D&D video games, Idle Champions and Warriors of Waterdeep. So you can see some codes at the bottom of the screen again. If you want them, you can just ! Idle Champions or ! Warriors of Waterdeep into Twitch chat for download links. And then for Idle Champions, there's a code you get to directly enter into the game. You type ! Code, you get a golden chest. Whereas for Warriors of Waterdeep, you do ! Wow gems, and you get some wonderful gems. But you do need to be on the device that you play the game with on the Twitch chat. So there you go. We're also Roll Together RPG on all social media. There'll be links in chat, so do like, follow, subscribe. A massive thank you to our D20 Club on Patreon. You can find a link in chat and help us make our shows from just £1, $1, and unlock more tiers by joining. And a big thank you to our dice heads for already supporting us. Our shows are also available as podcasts. Just search Roll Together RPG in any podcasting app. We'll be there. Finally, we play with a diverse group of players who do play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are trans and GNC positive, and we encourage and champion trans and GNC players and DMs and characters all in our games. The DM and players may portray characters that are of a different gender to their own, and we aim to avoid misgendering, but acknowledge that it does happen, and we have a company policy in place for correcting people on pronouns. If we do miss an instance of misgendering, we're open to being corrected, so please let us know if you think one's been missed. But for now, let's enter some Wastelands, baby. Roll the crap, roll the tape, roll the tape. So, last time, you were in the very far eastern regions of Faerun, in a place called the Predator's Lair in the town of Blackrock. These are situated near the Wastelands of Karatur, which is the next sort of continent area. You were all there seeking different things. We had Malice, who had shown up with their comrades, Icor, Cheeks, the Itchy, but was unfortunately left to fend for themselves, but thankfully bumped into somebody they recognized in their as yet to be described acquaintance, Jamie Link. And so those two started to have a little catch-up. Speaking of catch-ups, another one of our adventurers, Vega, had a little catch-up with someone from their past, Zox's Spirit Claw, who was another Lionin, who was with a party of two others. One, a golden Eladrin elf called Theros Inuve, if I'm pronouncing that right. What? Yeah, perfect, thank you. And just a regular-looking man. The most regular man you've ever put your regular eyes upon. Who? You didn't get his name. Just regular man is his name for now, though. Turns out, Theros Inuve is also got someone that they know at the Predator's Lair in their sister, Protea, who was trying to get away from her family, but unfortunately her family just kept bumping into her. On top of that wonderful bunch of coincidences, we've got Veracity, who has turned up on the sort of recommendation of a recently made friend called Barda, who set them up with meeting the owner of the Predator's Lair, Salazar Toothgrin, who just assumed that Veracity was an adventurer looking for some fun and put them for the highest, most dangerous job. And there we are. And our wonderful players were all put together by chance. It's like someone wrote this. To go out go out and find an orchard that had apparently made camp near the Tolpicin on the north. I believe I said the northern trade route.
You did.
Thank you. The northern trade route. This orchard has apparently been taking adventurers, anyone that comes and tries to fight them, taking them, beheading them, and leaving their headless bodies for people of the Predator's Lairs to find. Before that, they were attacking the trade route and causing a bit of a disruption, and nobody's been using it since. So you guys have all been put forward to do that. You've all placed bets on yourself with various amounts of degrees of Mahoney, and you've headed north towards the large Black Mountain. As you went up there, you started to hear the screams and cries of a halfling that was held underneath a carriage full of painting supplies. I believe Protea telekinetically lifted it off of the halfling, and as you all sort of got closer, you were ambushed by 6 bugbears. Or was it 5? Who knows? I probably did, but I've forgotten. It is 6. It's written there. 6 bugbears that came for you. You managed to fight them off until Veracity blew them up, pretty much. And that, after preaching about the idea of, making sure that we talk to these sentient creatures.
It was establishing whether they wanted to hurt us, and it was very clear that they wanted to hurt us, so blowing them up is then fine.
Fair enough. Justify it however you want. Anyway, murder's murder. No, I'm joking. But that is where we left off. Vega was unfortunately knocked unconscious from the fight, but the rest of you are currently up and ready and raring to tidy up, I guess, or short rest, whichever the one you prefer.
Why not both?
Yeah, I think at this point.
Is Vega awake by this point?
We're carrying on precisely after the fight, where Veracity has literally unleashed a fiery hell upon the unfortunate bugbears left.
Oh, I'm just making sure my eyebrows are still there then.
The smell of singed fur is definitely filling your nostrils.
Does anybody have any healing for
Yes.
anyone over there?
I do, I suppose. And I think Protea's going to like kneel down and start patting down his pockets. Didn't he have one?
I'm sure everybody has one.
Make an investigation check.
What are you looking for?
Well, his healing potion, of course.
Why would you waste that? It's fine. I'll do it. And Sparky, can you come here for a sec? Vega, you're out completely, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know, blah, blah. How much do I like you? Not that much yet. You can have Cure Wounds at 2nd level, but Sparky's up, so you get an extra D8. Anyway, so that'll be 3D8 plus 5.
Nice.
Nice, bum.
Oh, that wasn't bad. That is a 6 plus a 7 is 13 plus a 2 is 15, so 20 points of health.
Ooh, that's not bad at all.
Thank you very much.
How does your healing spirit of fire heal people?
It engulfs them in flames.
Yes, I just burn him. This is what we meant, right? Did I misunderstand?
Sorry, this was 20 points of damage, right?
Critical hit. I think I will reach out to Sparky and just break a little blob of wax off his finger that he offers out to me, and then I will just press that onto Vega's forehead. It will sink in, and as it sinks, it like glows and spreads, and Vega pops up again.
Wonderful. Yeah, you feel this healing energy pass over your body and whoop, pop up alive.
Oh my. I kind of open my eyes and look around at...
Hello! You fell unconscious! Are you better?
Yes, I'm a bit better. Was that you?
That depends. Did you like it?
Yes,
Then yes, it was me. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
From the distance, you hear from underneath a car, I believe. Can somebody help me?
I'll help her.
Helping. Oh wait, I think I know this one. And I would like to attempt to physically lift the thing first, being as I am.
The car is now upright.
Oh, it is
They're
upright.
just hiding underneath it.
I would like to pull them out.
Safety. They scream as you pull them from underneath.
I just kind of put them over my shoulder, like, "You're safe now. I've helped."
Oh dear.
You all can see Malice holding this halfling over his shoulder, and these little legs all crooked and bent in the wrong ways. As Malice just sort of walks over like, "I've got him."
Oh dear.
Hello.
Definitely thinking this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Hello. I love your cart. Quite the thing.
I turn around so you can see his face.
Yeah.
He's like crying, but from pain, you gather. And he's like, "Thank you. It cost a pretty penny, but would any of you please be able to fix my leg?"
I will go cast Cure Wounds at 1st level at him. He's
No.
new and we don't know him, so this will be... Oh no, it's a touch spell. I was going to do something for flavor, but I won't because it is a touch spell. I'll send Sparky over to touch him so I don't have to.
Excellent.
I can't cast through my Wildfire Spirit, but we're going to pretend that I can.
It's all fine.
Great.
For flavor, say with no pressure or combat, you can do these things.
He gets a lot of damage. No, not damage.
I kill him.
With just with just 2d8, he still gets 19 hit points. Sorry, Vega.
More than a commoner needs. His legs start to knit up and heal, and he's like, "Oh, thank you very much, thank you. You can put me down now." And he pats you on the head very gently.
Is this the bit when we get paid for helping?
I think it is. Do we have to shake him to make the money fall out?
No. We don't shake people who own carts like that.
Oh.
Other ways to get money out of them. But I don't think that's the point. Sorry, thank you so much for... Yeah. Thank you for calling for us. Can you, Niall, remind me of the name of our party?
I didn't write it down.
You have a name.
Do we know?
Party, you said. I didn't think you had a party name.
Great.
Oh
Excellent.
no.
Yeah, you're going.
Oh no.
I can see this going.
Ow.
Right, writing it down now.
Can I just roll a d20?
Of course.
And
What for?
whether I'm going to come up with a good name or a shit one.
Okay, call it a performance check.
Okay. Excellent.
I'm so done for whatever it is.
That's a flat.
So scared.
So that's an 18.
That's a pretty
okay.
good. So yeah, this now it's one of those like you have to come up with a good name.
Yeah, give me 30 seconds.
Need a countdown clock.
Fucking
Sorry,
don't.
got it.
We all left. What was the name of the casino that we left?
The
from?
Predator's Lair.
Great. What lives in a lair?
So many inappropriate names. I was like, oh, we could call it. No, we can't.
Alien versus. No.
Like get to the chopper. It's all right. Clearly, I'm the only real Predator fan.
I'm okay with that.
Hey, great movie.
Did I see G's character get miffed at the other Leonid?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Oh wait.
Fine.
I'm
With
really
the winds
sorry.
of change.
I'm really sorry. I just realised I have this card, and if you can read that, it says fail a skill check. So can you please come up with?
Yeah, well,
the
we were
worst
going to be
name.
called the Winds of Change because I think that would be quite cool.
Oh, that's very poetic, yeah.
Yeah.
The least cool you could come up with.
Um,
The odor of poops.
We're Protea's predators.
Oh no.
The least
That's
cool.
a terrible
we?
name.
We're not. Hello.
This sounds like Protea's Predators. Excellent. A group I've not heard of yet, but I like it. In terms of money,
So sorry, guys.
I don't have any gold on me as of yet, as I was currently just passing, and anything that I would want to give you would not cover it. I only have like a measly 10, and they hold up like a nice sort of pouch.
You
However-
also don't need to give us things. We were in pain, so we helped. That's what good people do, eyeballing Malice.
I understand, but I would like to at least offer a picture.
A picture.
Yes, and they pat their card and they're like, I'm a very good painter, and I would like to at least paint for you. My name is Crispus Horatia, and, my work is very good. They don't have glasses, but if
Can
they
I
did,
do an
that's what they
insight
do.
check?
Yeah, I don't believe him.
You can
Can I
either make an
I do a
history check. Yeah, so make
Can
a
I
roll check.
insight or
Everyone
give
else can
Hannah
insight.
advantage?
I'm going to history.
Okay, I will
because-
insight.
I got a
Right.
dirty 20 insight. But
That's a 26.
Ooh,
For history.
23 insight.
I got a 17.
4.
Insight, sorry.
Excellent. And G?
I got a 9 for history.
G. Oh, Vega. You've never heard of this person before.
Nah, not buying it.
Mike, you had an above 20 insight, didn't you?
dirty 20.
Dirty 20. I'd say Jamie, Veracity, and Malice, they believe they're an amazing painter.
Wow.
Like, they're not lying to you. They believe that they are very good at painting. Protea. Crispus Horatia is maybe one of the most famous painters in all of Faerun. They're known for their ability to capture the sort of feeling of the moment rather than just the realistic depiction. They are a wonderful expressionist and have the ability to be accurate with their paintings in a very quick time. They go from battlefield to battlefield and try to capture these moments of amazing flights of fancy and almost make the paintings move with how beautiful their art is.
Then Protea is going to, I mean, an original Horatia of us? We'd be honored. This would be, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Please. Call me Christmas. And just take a seat, have a, you've all done so much for me, so please just rest and I will try to get this as quick as possible. And they clamber up their little halfling cart, there's like a little latch, and as they pull that down, a little ladder comes out for them, and they get up on top of that. You can see them like reorganizing their paints, like, for God's sake, what a mess! And they're like throwing canvases, and there's like looking at a painting that was once like spectacular and finished, and now looking at it and like, it's ruined. Too much purple. And you can see like there's like a purple smudge across it and things like that. But they managed to find a blank canvas, and whilst you guys are short resting, they start to create a wonderful portrait of you all.
Oh.
So yeah, please roll. If you just want to take a short rest, that's fine. If you want to set up camp for a long rest, that's also fine, whichever you would prefer. If it is a short rest, roll hit die. Well, what would you prefer to do?
I wouldn't mind a long rest. I've lost some health and some spells, but I can do without one.
There is no time limit to this.
I'm not fussed as an elf. It doesn't really make a difference to me.
Yeah, I've not used up that much of things, but if somebody wants to take a long rest, I'm not opposed.
I'm quite content with a short.
That's short then, and I'll use some hit dice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So you guys take a little hour short rest. Does anybody want to do anything during that short rest?
Yes.
Yes, what would you like?
I would like to. I think. How miffed is Veracity looking?
Ooh. Confused more than miffed, and a little dejected. It's not anger that you're getting. It would be, sad bewilderment.
Okay. I think Protea might head over to Veracity and go, I think we might have gone wrong somewhere, and I just want to say sorry for something. I'm not sure what, but I am sorry.
You don't need to say sorry about anything. You didn't really do anything wrong. I think I was sort of hoping you'd be someone else and you weren't. And that's fine because you're you and you're perfectly adequate as you. But I just sort of...
I hear that a lot, trust me.
Yeah. Why did you go up a tree?
Oh, well, I was going to swap places with Crispus, but then it didn't end up working. But hey,
So you were choosing whether you were going to hide up a tree or under a cart?
Well, at least I'd have been closer to the action that way and get Crispus out the way. I mean, gosh, what a talent.
But you didn't do that either. You just went up a tree.
I did some ranged magic. Look, I'm squishy, and gestures at her very nice outfit. I'm squishy, and we can't all be as talented as you. With my gosh, the way you took them out, so amazing.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I just, when I did this last time, it was like we were all sort of fighting each other to be the first and the last one to punch things, and it was great. And set things on fire, and there was a really awesome granny who would just throw axes at people till they died. It was great. And I just sort of thought that all adventuring parties would be this sort of like, I'm gonna protect each other and be super brave and sort of save all the people. I thought that was what you did, and it's totally fine that that's not what you do. I just I have lots of things to learn.
can I tell you something? This is my first adventuring party too. Well,
Really?
not two. It's... Yes, so I'm sure that some people are very brave all of the time, but caution can be helpful too. And plus, I mean, I have no idea what most of you can do yet, but now we know.
Do you want a clue from my first adventuring party what I learnt to do?
Brilliant. I'm all ears.
Because it was really, really scary, and everyone was really talented, and I felt very, very, very small. But there was this incredibly cool lady that I wanted to really impress, because she sort of knew everything and jumped between different planes and was just super cool, and knew everything. And so I decided that even when I was really scared, I'd pretend to be really brave so she would think I was brave and cool. And it worked. And then I sort of became brave. So what you could do is find someone here that you really, really want to impress, and then pretend that you're everything you want them to think you are, and then you'll become that.
Protea takes a very long look around the clearing.
What is everyone doing at this moment? Malice?
Malice just kind of sat down, muttering to himself. It's like, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. You need to just follow the thing. Is Protea my overlord now? I can't tell. Just keep going. Looking a little bit mad.
Excellent. Vega?
I think Vega's meditating, probably.
Very cool, very cool. And Jamie?
She's stood under, holding her umbrella, and she just like slowly, silently like looks across at you with like this disdain, and then just attempts a really awkward smile, and then like goes back and carries on, just staring out in the distance in the shade of her umbrella.
Veracity looks. Protea looks back at Veracity. I'm not sure I want to be a painter for the rest of my life.
Ow.
No, but don't you want Crispus to paint you like you're a really courageous hero?
Maybe. You've got a point. Oh well. I'm not saying next time you should like fling yourself into an oncoming horde of orcs, because your clothes are very nice, but yeah, you know best what you do. If hiding up a tree is the best thing for you, you should do that. It just confused me a bit. But if you say it's for the best, then you're much cleverer than I am. It must be for the best. It was a good plan, I think. And with that, Protea just sort of wanders off. Yeah.
Or is there anything anybody else would like to do? It's only an hour.
I would like to attempt some inner peace.
Roll wisdom saving throw.
Yes, I'm terrible at this. Well, that was a natural one with a -1, so...
A natural one, you say?
Amazing.
Excellent. All right, that's one naughty DM card for Niall.
Yeah.
But you get this split second where there is complete silence in your brain, and you go, really far into that deep silence, and then you realize that you've actually just been muttering about the deep silence, and that actually this was all just a really, really good way of your brain convincing you that you achieved inner peace, but actually there is no such thing as inner peace, because silence would just be death, and death is not inner peace. Death is death, and then you just keep falling into this cycle.
I've fallen into a cycle of existential dread.
Yeah. The opposite of inner peace. What is everybody's passive investigation?
9.
10.
9. 10.
15.
Ooh, wizards.
Excellent. With the 15, Protea, as you start to sort of walk off away from Veracity and the conversation that you were having, you noticed a glint on one of the charred bodies of a bugbear.
I investigate.
The one thing that seems to have survived, apart from the weaponry, which actually roll an investigation check if you want to know more about the weaponry, but you do notice a simple healing potion.
Great.
And that, because its magical properties, is not burned up.
That's 16.
Oh, you have done a little bit of weaponry, like talk, usually because Theros is going on about it like nobody's business. But there is a distinct difference between orcish weapons and normal weapons. And orcish weapons do tend to be made out of like this blackened iron and steel. And it is sort of like crudely made with lots of big jagged pieces and almost like roped together through like twine and things like that. And goblinoids do tend to have a similar method, but they don't tend to use the sort of black iron and the jagged look. It's more stolen weaponry and then like hastily fixed together. And this is definitely orcish weaponry being held by these goblinoids.
Does anybody want some orcish weaponry? I mean, waste not, want what?
Say again?
Go for it, Evie.
I'd like some orcish weaponry, I think. If it's going.
Give me a second, I'll tell you what weapon it is. It's just a morning star and some javelins.
I think I'm good, but why are bugbears having orc? Oh, okay. So setup, right? Are we all on the same wavelength? I'm thinking setup. I'm thinking you're thinking setup. Okay, I think we've got this.
Sorry.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Why would bugbears, right, have orcish weapons when we are after an orc horde? This feels like it was set up. This doesn't feel like a coincidence. They just picked up some weapons from nowhere.
Oh, so you think this is sort of like the advanced, the people who meet you at the door, and then you get led into the... Or is it like a bouncer?
Like a bouncer, a little bit, yeah. Or worst case scenario, the bugbears killed all the orcs and took their weapons. I'm not going to say which one's more likely. It's probably the first one. The second one...
That would be a best case scenario, because now we've killed all the bugbears.
Roll a... What is that? It'd be historical accuracy, I guess. If somebody wanted to make a history check...
I'll do it.
Do you want some help?
Sure.
How do you help?
Oh, no. Veracity knows things at least about creatures and ways of the forest, so she will share the knowledge she has of wild bugbears.
I'll allow it.
Oh, phew.
So the first one's a 19, and the second one was a 4 on the dice plus 8. So let's go that 19, please.
Well. You start to sort of talk about orcs. You're like, well, orcs are generally... This is an orc horde that came here and made camp here, and they've definitely been seen here because that's, why, this orc horde, you've been told, was pushed back. And the eye was killed, the Eye of Grudge. And this is the remnants of the orc horde that needed to be dealt with. That's what you remember being told. So it's got to be an orc horde, right? And then Veracity sort of pipes in and says, like, in a fight, historically, statistically, an orc would crush a bugbear. Kind of idea. Orcs are a lot more savage than bugbears. Bugbears are extremely lazy. It takes a lot for them to get their finger out their ass. So it's one of those like, this is weird. If what Malice is saying is true, it's extremely unlikely. Did I get you, Hannah?
Sorry, I just remembered what we were talking about before this game started.
For the benefit of the listeners, I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Please don't.
Because you don't need to. You don't need to know.
Sorry, I've gone bright red. Fuck.
It's okay. And on that note, that is the point where Horatio, Crispus Horatio, comes down and he's like, right, I'm done. And he turns this portrait to you, and it is of all 5 of you. And it is very accurate. The likeness is uncanny. Protea and Veracity are stood near each other having this conversation. Protea, he's captured that moment of you when you showed yourself off, and you seem very happy and just sort of like, this is what I look like. And he's captured your beauty very elegantly. Veracity, he's captured your like ability to sort of like innocently try to explain things, and he's got you like this really wonderful sort of quizzical look on your face as you're trying to explain how you sort of came to where you are and where you're thinking, Protea should try and go. Vega, you are sat wonderfully in the middle of this picture, sort of the centerpiece, meditating as this large lion taking up most of the space. On the other side is Malice, sat similarly, but with the complete opposite of serenity upon his face. Whilst Vega's achieved an eternal inner peace, Malice seems to be channeling an eternal outer hell. As you're like sort of like, well, clearly having a conversation with yourself, like holding yourself in a very pained manner. Your trident sort of sticking out of the ground wonderfully behind you. And then in the shadows near the back area is Jamie with an umbrella, just sort of eyes almost glowing in the darkness, looking rather mysterious. But the picture again does seem to have all of this life about it. Like you can swear that it's almost moving. It's not, but it might be.
That's too realistic for my liking, to be honest.
It's beautiful. Wow. Just Protea's not forming. This is like, if this is one of the best painters in the land, right? It's her first big day out, and she's managed to already get her name out there and get her likeness captured. She's in the history books already. So
100%. He
right, character objective check.
he makes like a little bow, like to thank you all for being his wonderful subjects, and then you see him grab the page and almost tear it in half, and as he does so, another painting exactly the same splits off, and he's like, this is the original, I'll keep the copy. And he hands you the original painting. He rolls up the copy and puts it in a little tube inside of his cart, and he says, well, I must be getting off. These paintings won't sell themselves. And he bumbles up another side ladder, and as he does so, he climbs up to the top of the carriage, shoves a few more levers, and the carriage starts to away.
Is the carriage going back towards the predator's lair or onwards?
He's going onwards. He doesn't care.
Should we tell him that there's an orc horde up ahead that's sort of ahead everyone?
Christmas, wait!
Bye now. Bye. I'm telling you.
If he hasn't learned his
I want to
lesson.
run after him.
All right, you start running after him. He's like, hello, good sir. How are you? Would you like one just for yourself? I'll have to charge.
No, that's very kind of you. Thank you, but that one is fine. I was going to say you probably shouldn't go down this way. We're heading down this way to deal with a horde of orcs, and I imagine that's someone you'd want to avoid.
The cart stops, and he looks at you and he's like, a horde of orcs.
Yes. We came from the Predator's lair with, hired on a job.
And how long would you say that this might take you?
Well, I don't really know.
Give or take.
5 days?
5 days. Excellent. So it shall be 5 days, and then I'll set off. And then he puts the car into reverse, turns around, and starts going back to the Predator's lair.
Well, I suppose that's better than nothing. Yeah, I head back and join everybody else.
He drives past you all very slowly because it does just sort of around, and he's like, "Goodbye, Protea's predators. May all good luck and fortune be upon you." You do notice on the painting he has in calligraphy written "Protea's predators" at the bottom.
Great. Sorry, everyone.
We may be called that, but we don't have to answer if called.
Also, at least we burnt one of the Nat 1 cards.
Yes, that is
I replaced it with another one.
Yeah.
At least there aren't two.
So, Protea, please do add to your inventory from the one burnt corpse just a simple healing potion.
I have done.
Just a common. Excellent. Awesome.
I will hand it over to Vega with a little here, just so you know, in case.
Thank you. I appreciate the thought.
Is there anything else you guys would like to do? Or what do you do next, really, is the best question to ask. Your short rest is over, you've healed up as much as you can. Any benefits you might have gained from short resting?
We have direction still, don't we?
Keep going down the road.
Is everyone ready to set off?
Yeah.
If you want to follow that route, does somebody want to make a survival check?
I'll do it. Unless there's any more volunteers.
I'll give you advantage.
Thank you. Nat 20 for a 22.
Nice.
Hey! Well, and that 20 gets you a wonderful blue card. Okay, so please write down, G. You receive the maximum amount of healing possible from any one source.
Okay.
So at any point, if something heals you, you get the maximum healing. If you choose so. These can also be played for other people, by the way. So if somebody else needs healing, and you can be like, oh, well, I've got this card for them.
Cool.
Okie dokie, artichoke. With that, you notice the bugbears didn't come from the road. They came from the forests. Heading towards the Tolpican, which is the Black Mountain. Originally, Tolpican was an Orcish name because the Orcs were the first people to actually own these lands when they came to sort of terrorize and take over and destroy and pillage. But they were pushed back, obviously, by people from the Predator's Lair and things like that. But they named the mountain Tolpican, which in Orcish means the Black Mountain, because it's a darkstone mountain. They're a simple, wonderful race. But you start to find tracks leading all the way into the forest towards the Tolpican.
If we suspect that the orcs and these bugbears were connected, then maybe we should follow these tracks. What do you all think?
Sounds like sound logic to me. As long as everyone else thinks that's a good idea, I'm happy to go with it.
We did get very clear instructions to keep going up the North Road. There are always going to be creepy crawlies living in a forest.
Yes, I mean, focusing on the task at hand is something I relate to the most, but if you think it's going to be helpful.
I suppose there's the 147 people who came before us all walked up the trade road, and they're all dead, so maybe going off the beaten path is not the worst idea.
It's a really great idea, and also maybe we can take them by surprise if we don't go up the North Road.
I expect they'll see us coming if we're on the road, but this might be a better option, I think.
Well, shall we?
So Vega leading the charge. You head off into the woods. Could you make another survival check for me, please?
Should I make this one?
Yeah,
what did you say?
I have a +8, so I will make it if that's all right. I'll take help if that's okay. I just don't want to get eaten.
I will assist then.
Oh, thanks, G. That's 19 on the dice, so 27.
How is the child the most useful member of the party?
That's on you guys, not on me.
Brassy and Vega leading the group. sort of pointing out the tracks to one another and following it, it takes a surprisingly quick time to actually pass through. They managed to lead you guys through the forest quite easily, avoiding any sort of like muddy areas that might slow you down or be difficult terrain. They notice sort of like where things might thin out a little easier to walk whilst also keeping like an eye on the tracks. And what a journey that should have maybe taken half a day only takes like a couple of hours, about 4 hours, and it starts to turn into sort of the late afternoon, early, close to the early evening time as you pass through all the way up towards the Tall Picken. And Vegan Veracity, that's when you first notice a rather grim sight. A little bit far ahead, just behind a tree, you can see a javelin of orcish make with a skull attached to the top of it. It seems to be decorated in some kind of fabrics, but it's about 60 to 70, 80 feet away.
Can I roll history to see if I know anything about the fabrics?
It would be a religion check.
Let me see if I want to do that then. Yeah, can I roll religion?
Of course you can.
Could I roll some kind of nature to see if it looks like to be an orc skull or not?
Yeah, roll a nature check.
If there's some sort of evil check to see if I recognize this brand of evil, then.
Again, a religion check.
Yeah, I only got a 12.
I got another 19 on the die, so 22 for nature.
I got a nat 20 for 22.
Nice!
Nice!
Well, another wonderful card for you. Evie, please add to your notes that at any point in time, you can deal maximum damage on an attack.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice.
Now, Protea, religion was really never your strong suit. You recognize the sort of ritualistic kind of mannerisms in which this has been decorated, because it is quite pretty. But to what god this pertains to, Helm only knows. Veracity, you notice the skull is that of a tiefling with horns. Not an orc, but yeah, definitely a tiefling. You can notice the horns that have, whilst the skin has faded from the skull, the horns are still part of the bone structure and are still there. Malice, you've worked with a lot of goblins. In what reason? Who's to say? But you do know that a few of them, and just a few of them, the ones that would tend to be a little bit more old-fashioned, I would say. The ones that are a bit more nasty, not very nice to talk to because they're always trying to convert you. Believed in a goblinoid god called Maglubayet. One of the things that they would do on the battlefields is take the heads of corpses and burn them on javelins or spears to sort of coincide with some of the holidays that goblins would have. They have like a spooky holiday, and that's what they do to skulls to sort of give them this sort of flaming eyes effect. They'd sort of put like flammable liquids or sauces within the inside the skull to make it sort of really pop. Usually it's like an animal skull, but the ones that were a bit naughty would use people's skull. Any skull will do with them kind of guys. But that's what you know.
Okay. So it seems that we have some old school god-bothering goblins who are taking things maybe a touch too far. I think that god's name is something Mugliet or malnourishment, something along those lines.
Would anyone mind if we took the skull down and buried it? I don't know that person wanted to be set on fire and stuck to a tree.
Well, probably not, but yes, if you want to.
Can you, I can't reach.
I can.
So as you get closer,
Oh,
yeah.
I want to use my
I want to use
fortuitous
Mage Hand.
circumstance card
please.
as we get closer.
No worries. As you get closer, the trees sort of shift your perspective, and you are able to see more spears, and they're leading towards the mountain, and there is a lot of skulls parked in almost like a corridor fashion.
Might take a while
As they
if you
go
want to
down,
query all of these.
you can see little candles, and you can see these little sculptures of skulls that have like little candles burning within them. Very decorative, and again ribboned and sort of kept alight by these candles.
If you wish, Veracity, I'm quite happy to stay and start bringing them all down.
I don't think we should split up. Whenever the theatre troupe came to town and they did a scary play, splitting up was always the worst idea. Could we do one? I know it doesn't make a difference, but just doing one is still better than
Protea uses
nothing.
Mage Hand to get the first one, the tiefling that we saw, and lifts the skull gently off the spike.
It takes a bit of a crunch, but you manage to pull it off because it is implanted. But you manage to slide it off and
brings it back towards us. Choose a tree. A patch of dirt. Okay. And with one, still mage handing with her other hands, she delicately clears off a little bit under the tree, and pops the skull there, and then with the mage hand digs. She's not getting her hands dirty, but is still burying the skull.
Yeah, perfect. So I
use my thingy to attempt to druid craft a black flower to plop there.
Yeah. You can druid craft a black flower.
Well, I need to roll to see if I can actually do the cantrip.
Oh, what? Why? What's this ability?
It's my it's gone. Where'd it go? Come back. We're gone.
What doing?
Oh no. Now you've asked for it, I can't find it.
I just assumed you could do it, so I was like, yeah.
Yeah. The Dark Shard Amulet. You can use this amulet as a spell, I suppose. You can try to cast a cantrip that I don't know. The DC is 10 plus mine Arcana or Intelligence.
Perfect.
Can I help? Veracity Druid crafts flowers quite a lot. If she sees what you're trying to do, she'll just give you a
can see it
hand.
almost like poofing out, like she's doing like incredibly basic druidic sigils as she's sort of almost like pulling runic magic out from her fingers and sort of like quizzically, and it almost dissipates into shadow. And then
if you're cool with it, she will gently reach up and just slightly adjust like a couple of finger positions, and then suddenly it will feel easier.
Beautiful.
Okay, that is a
The DC is 10, right?
yeah. So I rolled a 10 even without any bonuses.
Nice.
I don't know why I was
There
looking.
you go.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah,
It's very in
absolutely.
theme. Edgelord activated, black flower.
Yeah, with Veracity's help, sort of guiding your hands, you together sort of create this druidcraft, this black flower, and put it down.
Jamie almost looks like what's the word? She looks at veracity in her eyes as she puts it down, and it's almost like an innocence of like, is this right? Is this like, it's genuine, like she's making an effort, but she's looking at you like for the like, yes, good job.
He'll very will give you exactly that. Like,
and then she goes straight back to like sour face after, and she's like, yes, yes, cool. Puts her umbrella back up.
So it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for this hole to be dug and then filled, and this wonderful little ceremony to happen. But you're sort of stood as the afternoon sun is fading into the evening.
So are we going down the scary hall of skulls and spikes now?
in the dark.
It's not dark.
I'm not scared of the dark, but it's getting dark, and this is quite. Some people who hadn't been on adventures might find it scary.
I mean, to be honest, I'm actually feeling rather comforted. This isn't far off the decor I'm used to. I mean,
He takes a step back.
I would like to pull a patch off of my jacket, and it has a bullseye lantern in it to kind of help.
nice.
Beautiful. So you pull out a little patch that turns into this wonderful lantern as you pull it off.
I'm just going to hand it to Veracity, be like, this will help.
Oh, thanks. It was more, I mean, that's really, really kind and really nice, but it was more sort of, we have been walking since the crack of dawn, and it's now almost nighttime, and this next bit looks quite spooky.
Do you think maybe camping away from this like almost main path that's been guided through the heads of slain adventurers, maybe not the best place to sleep?
That sounds reasonable, yes.
I mean, I can see in the dark, and
Oh, I can as well, yeah.
Can goblins?
Yes.
Often, yes.
Well, then what's the difference?
And also, this is actually quite well lit.
The
That
heads.
makes sense, seeing as they're all candles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, there are candles near the bottom and things like that.
I suppose I just mean that at the end of this dead road of people is going to be something of a fight or something. Do we want to walk down a dead road of people in the middle of the night till we're quite tired, or do we want to do that in the morning?
Personally, I'd prefer the middle of the night, but I'm happy to go with the majority if people think it'd be better to wait until morning.
Are you can say if you want something. I highly recommend saying when you want something, Veracity. Do you want to pause? Because, I mean, I'm not tired.
Don't understand that concept.
Well,
Oh, dear.
just answer the question. Would you like to stop for the night?
No, we can keep going.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Veracity, are you lying or are you...
I will make a roll against it.
Oh, well, it's not
Yeah.
difficult.
I want to inside that as well.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I got a nat 20, Niall. I got a nat 20 for 22.
Oh, let me get you another card.
What a waste of a nat 20 on a check I
never
quite
a
wanted
waste.
to fail.
Never a waste. So please write down, Rebecca, add 1d10 after making a skill or attack roll.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, so did I.
Ooh,
Whoa.
a nat 20.
Yeah.
Nice. I only got
Nice.
22 total.
Add another fortuitous circumstance.
Ooh. What happened to G's, or has that not come about? Or did you
It's-
I
resist?
feel like we didn't get ambushed.
It's,
Maybe what happened?
it will become clear when it is relevant.
I mean, Jamie thoroughly believes and is in full confidence of Veracity's decision.
So it's 1d10 to any skills check of my choice.
Yeah.
Boom.
What does fortuitous circumstance? I just get to say.
Essentially,
This
you
sucks.
play it, You say, "Can I have a fortuitous circumstance? This may manifest itself in many ways, including, but not limited to, double the loot reward, finding a door or chest unlocked, coming across a broken trap, bumping into someone you were looking for, or any manner of lucky happenstances that happen to help you during your adventure."
Amazing. But
So it's just basically something very lucky.
with that 20, do I know whether Veracity is lying or not? Because if it meets, it beats, right?
If it meets, it does beat.
So did you get 22 total? Because that was mine.
For insight, I got 24.
Then you beat me, yeah.
Definitely beat, yeah.
Veracity's definitely freaked out, is I think what you get with a nat 20. It's partly by the dark and the skulls, and also by the fact that she's out with 4 people who are like, this is completely fine, let's keep walking through the dark with the skulls. I think she's more freaked out by you 4 than she is by the circumstance. That would be what you get with a nat 20.
Right.
But she's trying really hard to hide it because she's a grown-up and she's on her own and it's going to be okay.
Right.
Well, for my part, I don't think we'll have much more of an advantage in the light than we will in the dark.
Okay, we can keep walking.
Well, how about this? Whatever happens, if you want out, I can always make sure that we can get you somewhere safe. I mean, that's one of the things I do. Or do you... Protea extends her hand. Do you want to hold my hand as we go up?
No.
I believe Veracity is still lying.
Oh, of course she is.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
Protea,
I can...
you know.
Yeah. It would make me feel better. So I know where you are. And I know that you're safe.
I thought you could see in the dark.
Oh, yes, but there's seeing and then there's feeling. Sometimes you just need to feel.
No, I'm fine, thank you. I am definitely fine. Let's go through the walk through the Murder Skull Avenue towards the marauding horde in the dead, scary mountain in the middle of the night. Let's do that.
Oh, well, I tried. And
If anyone else wants to hold a hand, mine are free.
Jamie will put her hand out immediately
Yeah.
as we skip in the front.
we're off to see the wizard.
Beautiful.
I'm quite happy actually to take the lead this time at the front.
Also, Niall, how far can we go without starting to rack up exhaustion? Because we have been walking an entire day.
Not
a
that
rest.
long, really. Yeah, you did take a rest as well.
Fair.
But the sort of after you got there in the afternoon, few hours, and then this has been like an extra 4 with an hour break in between,
Cool.
which I'd say is more than enough to do without being exhausted. So yeah, you're totally fine. And you are, well, as you start to walk up this corridor, you notice that there are more and more heads of different kinds of races. Not just tieflings, but sometimes orcs. Sometimes you recognize a human skull or a...
Just as a question.
Nobody's specified. I believe you said you were skipping.
No. Most definitely not. Can we stealth, or would you like to just...
Yeah. Mid skip, you grab Malice and like, wait, this is a bad idea.
Jamie suggests this, then I might cast Pass Without Trace just for the first hour at least,
Oh,
while it's only dusk.
What does Pass Without Trace do?
Add 10
Gives
to
you
your
a
stealth
10.
roll.
Everybody, or just...
Everyone within a 30-foot radius. I
Thank you.
That might help with this party. Still only an 18 for me.
29?
Nice.
17.
20. Not that.
36.
30. Well, rather high. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah. Okay. So you all very silently, thanks to Veracity's Pass without trace. But how does your pass without trace work, Brassy? How does it sort of manifest itself?
Ooh. I think probably just from where her feet are touching the ground. A little. Now I was about to explain exactly how my other character casts darkness, and this isn't exactly. That's not the same. Let's go with she's a druid, so it feels as though the path underneath your feet just rearranges itself ever so slightly, so you're always stepping on moss instead of pebbles, that kind of thing.
Wonderful. These like small, soft pieces of moss sort of like grow beneath your feet as you stand there and then disappear back into the ground as you walk away. And you manage to lead Jamie and Malice, the group, up into further towards Tolpicum. And as you do so, what's everybody's passive perception?
12.
18.
14.
What was yours, Jamie?
11.
11. Veracity, you can feel it in your chest first. Just sort of like a steady beat that you recognize as not as your heartbeat, but as the sound of drums.
Mm-hmm.
As you all start to get closer, Jamie, you can start to hear it. Vega, you can start to hear it. Malice, you also, and Protea can start to hear the... And as you go forth, there seems to be almost like an innumerable amount of skulls. But as you get to the end of this area, which starts to open up into more of a wider space, which you can start to see a camp has been set up with small fires lit here and there. You notice that there are 5 spears left, decorated, but without skulls.
This is fine.
Wait, 5 spears waiting for heads to be put on them.
This is not ominous at all. I can't think of any heads that could fit very nicely on those spears.
I think Veracities might be a bit small.
There's a few halfling heads.
Those are the sort of jokes you make round the fire in victory after the fight, Vega.
How far away are they?
Oh, you're like pretty close to it now. You're all stealthing very quietly, and you're on the edge of this encampment. As you sort of look inside, you can see multiple pitches of tents set up, and there are a lot of tents, but completely deserted. Apart from one person, who is sort of almost prancing around this massive cauldron, throwing like different things in. You see them, it's a goblin picking up like handfuls of things and sniffing it and then throwing it in, and then sort of leading with their hands around, sniffing things and then throwing them in and sort of like giggling to itself. But just the one goblin. The rest of the camp is for what seems to be empty.
This empty, or is this a trap?
You can hear it.
It sounds like they're all over there with some drums. If I was setting a trap, I wouldn't play the drums.
You notice that the echoing drum noise is coming from the cave. There is a cave inside this mountain, and you can hear it echoing from there.
Do we want to fight lots of them at once?
I would say certainly not.
Should we take care of this little lad first?
Maybe we can get some information out of it.
Okay.
Can anyone kill someone quietly? I'm a bit kaboomy.
I can try.
I think I can. I hope. Probably. Maybe.
I mean, for me, it depends how much they're screaming, but I mostly just hit things.
So, who wants to go punch the goblin?
If we're relatively sneaky, if we all go up and take a jab each.
Yeah.
Unless you'd like to just being respectful, I think the word is, of everybody's feelings. If we could knock it out and
Is
question.
anybody able to put it to sleep?
I believe you get something heavy and you smash it on their heads.
I know I meant
I
magically.
could try and make them our friend. That's something I can do magically, but I can't put them to sleep with magic. And they might decide they don't want to be our friend even with magic, and then it might go very badly.
Funny enough, I could actually have a go at doing the same thing at the same time for double the luck.
Oh.
Sounds
Things
like
go
a good
wrong,
idea
I'm
to
happy
me.
to knock them out.
Or you could do
Get
it
a
on your
rock.
own, so I don't
Yep.
burn any more of my spell slots.
What would you like to do?
Yeah, let's go have a crack. Myself and Veracity at jumping out and both casting friends to see
Can
if we
I ready a buff in case it goes south?
What do you want to hit it with?
Can you non-lethally attack with a trident?
Yeah.
I would like to non-lethally attack with a trident if
Use
I
the
need
blood
to.
tent.
Yes. Just like hitting a bug out of your house.
How close do you have to get to it to cast friends?
can.
Or whatever you're trying to cast, charm person.
Charm person's 30 feet.
I cast friends on myself. Huh? That's confusing.
Have a little check as well.
Actually, I don't believe
So is it friends?
friends will work because I'm assuming if the goblin looked at me, it would immediately see me as a hostile.
You don't know that?
I can try.
You can certainly try.
Mhm.
I'll also prepare to run up and punch it in the face if things go south.
So you all get
too
about
lethal.
30 foot close to it. It doesn't notice you at all. You can hear it mumbling to itself, Vega in Goblinoid, being like, "Oh, a little sprinkle here, a little sprinkle there. Oh, it's gonna taste nice for everybody there." What would you like to do? Who wants to go first? You can roll initiative to see if somebody, to decide, or we can just go. I'm happy to just go. Whoever wants to go.
After yourself, Veracity.
Knock yourself out. I would love to be
Oh.
able to save the spell slot. So
Oh, brilliant. Hello, friends. Such a long time since I've seen you.
Okay.
And it's
It turns in complete shock. Can you roll with advantage? Persuasion check.
That is a 17.
It turns and in common says, "Ah!" Oh wait, who said that? It looks around and you can see that it's blind.
It's your good friend, Jamie.
Jamie who? Jamie Day?
Link.
I don't know yet. But you sound nice. What are you doing out here, Miss Link? They put out like a little hand out to shake
She
towards
takes-
you, Vega.
Oh. She waits for whether G takes it. If not, she'll elegantly like.
I think Vega will be like, just
Yeah.
Oh, how big your hands are!
Yes, well, I just glances up and down at G. I like to work out.
Well, you best get inside. They're all waiting.
For?
Well, for the ones, innit?
For the wands?
Yeah.
Now, do me a favor and just remind me. I've been, well, I'm late, so I've kind of missed the memo on what's going on.
What? Can you roll a persuasion check?
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Is that with... Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. It's a bit harder, DC, though. You have to be at 17 this time.
21.
All right. Well, have you just been recruited?
Yes, only a couple of days ago. We only just found out where this place was.
Fair enough. Well, essentially, and they sort of look around, even though they've got no concept of vision, and sort of lean up against this cauldron. They're essentially, we're all just waiting for the ones that are gonna apparently save us all or something. I don't really get it myself. We gotta break a few eggs to get a few omelets in it. And then they go back to cooking.
She's going to look to the four of you and just be like, do I push further or do we just move on?
Are they cooking something edible?
You look over and it seems to be some sort of weird purplish reddish colour.
So no?
Roll an Arcana check.
Oh no, I am not the right person for this.
That's why you should do it.
Okay, I'm not that bad, but still. That is a 14.
You've seen a health potion before. This seems to be some sort of crude, homebrew, some goblin homebrew mixed potions. You do notice that the goblin itself is sort of not dressed as a regular goblin. They have a weird hat on that's made out of other hats stitched together. Their front teeth are missing and hanging in a necklace around their neck.
Oh.
They're also sort of wearing weird scrappy robes made out of what's clearly somebody's carpet.
If that is health potion, like Malice said.
Did you say that out loud?
I am being very quiet to my companions. If that is health potion, like Malice says, we don't really want the people we're fighting to have a big pot of health potion.
So instead of knocking him out, we could just kill him.
Oh,
But
I mean,
if
they
we
haven't.
take the potion.
Or we could not kill them, and we could just knock them unconscious and then tip all the potion out.
I love this
say no more.
idea.
I would like to flip my hand and use my telekinetic thing just to kind of tip it over.
Nice.
Nice.
I feel like that doesn't really need a roll. Oh, well, you know what? Let's keep it fun. Can you roll me? What would it be for your telekinetic roll?
It doesn't really require a roll.
Oh, then
usually.
just do it then.
It's just that I can do it as long as
Yeah,
it's
just do it then.
cool.
All right, yeah, you woof, and this massive cauldron just spills over, and the goblin just sort of stops for a second, looks around, and then just starts throwing ingredients into where the cauldron used to be. They rolled a 6 on their perception, and they have a -1. So
Protea is going to point towards the chanting then.
yeah.
Would the passive about a trace still be up?
Up first. I think it's an hour,
An
not
hour,
10
eh?
minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has it been an hour?
No,
Then
you
yes.
literally just cast it.
Great.
So you start to head towards the mountain entrance, this cave that's inset inside it. And as you start to get closer, you can actually start to hear chanting alongside Yeah.
You can't stop this feeling.
You can start to hear the drums, and you can hear the sounds of like echoing voices saying "Ma Lupaya, Ma Lupaya, Ma Lupaya," echoing through the tunnels.
Please, DM, may I ready a slow spell?
Yes, you may ready your slow spell as you
Thank you.
walk down this area. There are torches on either side that light up a staircase that has been formed out of the stone for you to walk down. You travel about like a good few minutes and you go deep within this cavern and you can start to see more light flooding the bottom, and the sound is really like drum and bass at a festival going through you now. The words are also sort of reverberating through your skeleton with that same bass as well as the drums. Do you head down into the light?
Maybe giving them more credit than they deserve, but could I try to check for traps as we're walking?
Yeah. Make an investigation check.
Well, if they're there.
Yeah, there's no traps.
Solid 5.
There's no traps.
Jamie's satisfied.
So-
yeah, looks all across the floor and just goes, thumbs up. Let's go.
As you get to this large opening at the bottom, you can start to see a sand pit that leads all the way into this large room, and all you can really see at the moment is these large wooden walls that seem to be around this sand pit. Do you walk inside?
If we walk inside, are we instantly visible?
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide.
Is there any way of seeing what's going on from a higher vantage point?
Not really, unless you'd have to fly or something.
I mean, I can use a psychic leap and kind of fly for a little bit, but they definitely see me.
I guess our choices are we run away or we charge in.
I know you just said you'd have to fly. Am I able to do any cool monk parkouring of some sort to get up to a higher point?
You could run up a wall, but you gather the same issue might occur that Malice might have. If you can see them, they might be able to see you.
I mean, is my stealth roll still holding?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Nice.
As you run up the wall, sort of like parkour run and do like a little spin, just to get a little glimpse. At this moment, you all hear the muffled sound of like a large roaring screech, and as you look up, you can see like directly in front of you is what seems to be this made throne, and sat there is a hobgoblin dressed in armor, sort of similar to that of like a samurai's like checkered armor, of like this purplish kind of color, and they seem to have like a circlet made of gold around their head with this long red hair and their red skin, and behind them, behind this throne, is a blue dragon that's been chained up, and you can all hear the screech echo over the chanting and the drums, but only you see what was screeching.
Do I think is it screeching because it's seen me?
No, it's muzzled. It just seems to be uncomfortable.
And none of the other, not the hobgoblin or anyone else, or is it just the hobgoblin? Do I see other goblins? Or?
Make a perception check to see what else you see.
That is 14.
You see the hobgoblin does have their head turned, talking to someone who's robed. You can't really see what the robed figure looks like, but there are like a few of them dotted around this area. They're all sort of, a few of them are stood, and then a few of them are sat on similarly made smaller throne chairs. But that's as much as you can see of the 14.
Okay, I'd like to stealthily drop back down to share that information with everyone, where everything is. And
it's very loud, so you'll have to huddle really close together to share this information and practically shout.
Okay.
But you gather that because it's so loud, you won't be able to hear.
Yeah, I do that. So I just sort of lay out where the hobgoblin is, the robed person, and the dragon.
So what you're saying is that this isn't the orc horde, so it's not our business.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's certainly one perspective, I suppose. Another perspective might be that helping free a dragon and having a dragon as an ally is often a benefit.
I have worked for dragons before. They can be good allies, but they can be difficult.
I've never really interacted with one, so I'll take your word for it.
But there's only 2 figures in there, other than the dragon.
That's all I could see.
Just for context, there's only 2 figures in there. That's all I could say.
What's making the drums?
I couldn't tell.
Or the chanting? I mean, there was a common thing back where I come from, where it'd be a ceremony, and they'd be named the cannon fodder, or the arrow fodder, or the fireball fodder. It's usually when one person walks in, and they figure out what's going on, or they die. Does anybody want to volunteer?
Am I the only one with the message cantrip? Because
Well, I could attempt to
makes me a very obvious candidate, and I have been used as bait before.
Oh. You were the last person I thought that would go for that idea.
You know, I think I might. Now, I'm as shocked as you all are. I might be against using the child as the meat shield.
Oh.
Well, the thing is, I could also go in not as me. I could go in as a wolf or a bear or a tiny, tiny little lizard or a cute dog.
Oh, a lizard. And then they don't pay attention to a lizard, and then you can run away as a lizard. Maybe?
Yeah.
Mm. I also do have the message cantrip.
Okay.
So what would you like to do?
Either I think we should all just go in, because either it's not the orc horde, it's only 2 of them, we can fight them, we free a dragon, woo, or all the drumming and chanting is the orc horde and we're meant to be there killing them anyway. Or one of us goes in to do some having a look.
Information is key.
And probably the one of us who can turn themselves into a tiny small animal is maybe the best bet.
I mean, I do have great invisibility. I just wonder whether my 4th level spell.
That sounds like a powerful thing. This is something I can do a couple of times.
Oh, by the way, I can see you if you're invisible, just for future reference.
Jazzy.
Good to know.
Lizard, I think, if you're comfortable. And if you're not, say.
No, I can lizard. Let me think very hard. What sort of strength and intelligence I might have if I became a lizard.
I believe you keep your intelligence.
Yeah, I was just going to say I haven't wild shaped in a really long time because I have Sparky, but
It's just your dex, strength, and constitution that changes.
and hit
As a
points.
And yes.
Cool. So I would be tiny. I have 2 hit points, and I can travel 20 feet and climb 20 feet, and I have dark vision. This sounds reasonably okay.
I'm immediately picturing Frozen 2, you know, the little
Yeah.
Flame lizard from Frozen
A
2.
little salamander.
Immediately, yeah, that came into my head.
Okay, so you wild shape.
I wild shape. I'm going to make a wisdom saving throw to see if I can resist turning myself into a salamander. Because they're very cool, but they're also on fire. Fortunately, I have a +9, so that is 15. So I'm going to say yes, I turn myself into a sort of black lizard with a few orange markings on its underbelly, but very stealthy.
As you go inside,
Mm-hmm.
you can. Where do you sort of crawl? Do you crawl like around the cave entrance, or do you crawl straight through the middle?
I'll stick to where the wall meets the floor, and there's a tiny bit of shadow there.
Cool. As you crawl forward, you can see the cave entrance open up, and you can start to see more of what's making the drumming sound and the chanting. And it is tens and tens and tens, over hundreds of goblinoids, bugbears, different sized goblins. And they're all eating, chanting, singing, talking with one another. You can see that around this large pit are these doors that have been made. And you can see that in the far center, the hobgoblin is talking to a group of 8 others, cloaked individuals. Again, you can't really see what they look like. And behind, again, you see this chained blue dragon that's been chained up to the wall. Next to the hobgoblin is this large axe that looks Aztec in nature and sort of design. And they glance over towards you. And as their eyes gaze upon you, that's where we'll take a little break. So thank you very much, guys, for joining. We're going to have about a 10-minute break. We'll be back soon. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for coming back. Glad nothing took you away during that break. And here we are. So, as we left it, Veracity had turned into a little lizard and crawled within the confines of this sand pit. The goblinoids seem to be having some sort of like entertainment going on. What could they be waiting for? Who knows? And between the sort of billowing decorations that they've made with these black axes with fire behind them, and the food being served and the drums being played, the hobgoblin leader's eyes pass over your little lizard body. I will say, actually, go on, roll me a stealth check, and that'll determine something.
Oh dear. That was a 2 plus 2, 4. I get to add a D10. I get to add. I have a nat 20 card. I get to add a D10. Let's do that.
Okay, so make sure you've got rid of that.
That was another 2, so that's a total of 6.
I'm playing my fortuitous circumstance.
I hate to say it, can you see? Because the point of this was that none of us could see.
What do you mean none of you can see?
Well, I desperately want Protea to get me out of this, but...
It's a fortuitous circumstance. It'll play out.
But does she know that there's anything wrong?
It's not Protea playing, it's Hannah.
It's me.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's allowed, then that's great.
Yeah, I'm playing my fortuitous circumstance.
Cool, because I got a total of 6 using my nat 20 card. Yay.
%70 chance is what you've got. Do you want to roll the D100? So
Yes.
no, you've got a 30% chance. So you need to roll above a 70.
Okay, I'll do it. Let's use my beautiful fiery dice. Roll above a 70. That was a 38.
This hobgoblin, after talking to a robed figure, just sort of turns their head, and at this point you seem to be a bit like you've clocked onto this. Well, this is obviously the leader of whatever's going on, and as you're sort of staring at him and trying to get like maybe sussing him out, you just notice that he locks eyes with you.
I try and look like a lizard.
Smiles.
I'm a lizard. I look like a lizard. I think like a lizard.
He leans back and just continues to watch you.
Well, that's not comforting. Can I, as a lizard, make an insight check to see if I can work out if he knows we're all here, if he knows I'm me, if he thinks lizards are tasty?
If you want to make an insight check, it's your insight.
Because I want to run away, but not if it's going to lead everyone back to my party. That's another 19 on the dice. Where was that a minute ago? So that is 27.
You looking at him, look at you, and you gather that he knows something's up. But he is very patient, and he's happy that you're here.
I don't like this.
And you gather, because you rolled so high, it's not a maniacal, crazy kind of happy. It's a genuine, like, good. I'm glad they got you.
Without intent to harm, from what I can tell.
I didn't say that.
I don't know if Veracity's going to go and get her party, which is what the logical thing to do is, or if she's going to be noble. What can I roll to decide whether she's going to be an idiot, noble, sacrificial, what's it, or if she's going to go get her party?
I would say that would be up to you. If it was me doing it, I would either do between a wisdom or a charisma check. A charisma check to decide on how how confident they are, or a wisdom check if you think this is a stupid idea.
Let's do
One
a
or the
wisdom.
other. It's like bravery. It's like a bravery or a thoughtful check.
Let's do wisdom. Wisdom's my wheelhouse.
You're welcome to set your own DC.
I mean, that was that was high. It was 15 on the die, and then my wisdom's a +5. Just as a ability, the saving throw is a +9. So let's assume that being a noble idiot is actually quite idiotic, and let's
Strength in numbers.
Yeah, I reckon scuttling away with my back to them sounds horrible, and I'm not very far away from my party, am I?
No, you've literally just come out of the.
Cool.
You've just come out of the wall. You're probably like on a bit of wood. And
Then I
you just
will.
notice him look at you.
I will pop back into veracity. Try and look as brave as possible, and call out loud. No, I will first message Vega. Say they're definitely expecting us, and it's all a bit weird to come out not fighting but prepared for things. And then out loud go, you should probably come now.
It'll have to be like, you should probably come now.
Veracity will exercise her lungs without breaking my microphone.
You scream out, and as you appear, there's like a few you see a few goblins, but like looking up, and like a few bugbears like, oh, what's going on here? But the drumming still continues, the chanting still continues. You notice the hobgoblin lean forward and watch you. Do the rest of you come out?
Yeah, I would. I don't know if I'd actually say to everybody else what the message was, but I would kind of nod and like, come with me, and I would walk out.
I still have slow readied.
Awesome. As you all start to walk into the pit, from behind, a gate starts to close off the back. The chanting continues. Do you enter? Well, how far into the sandpit do you go? Where do you stand? Just at the cave entrance?
I would. Sorry. I would walk over and kind of stand behind Veracity, as sort of backup, trying to look intimidating. But also, I think Vega is feels quite comfortable at this point because he's walking into a gladiatorial ring with a big crowd all chanting. This is familiar territory to him, so he's got this kind of zen calmness, even on top of being a monk.
Cool. As you sort of walk into this pit, or gladiatorial arena, as you so rightfully said, the chanting continues until the hobgoblin holds up a hand like that, and its silence befalls everything. The drums stop. And in Goblinoid, Vega, you understand the words, let them fight. And doors start to open up from either side of you. You notice there is 2 on one side and 1 on the other. The one of the 2 on the other side, fortuitously, you could say, jams. And you can hear this buckling against it, but it continues to stay shut. Whereas the other 2 open up, and these large, hulking, orc-looking creatures that have spikes protruding through their bodies and horns from their head, and their tusks have grown even larger, walk out, each of them holding a great sword. One of them comes out and smashes the top of the wooden area, and fortuitously, you might say, loses their weapon into the top. It snaps in half as they look at the handle and throw it away and look at you as they move forward. Would you like to roll initiative?
I would like to cast slow before anything else.
Nice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because that's what I readied.
How many are there?
No. 2.
So
One of
I
the
would
doors
like
seems to be closed.
Yeah, so however,
And they are.
We're
on
in a
either
pit,
side,
aren't we?
Unfortunately. So yeah, it would be one on either side. It's about 100-foot pit.
We're in a pit. Are either of them close to the main guy?
No, they're on either side, whereas the main guy's right in front of you.
Okay.
There are loads of goblinoids, though. I mean, that's the kind of aim.
Well, slow's not super brilliant as a concept if it's not like a group, if they're very far away from each other. I'm going to drop slow and just roll initiative because I don't think there's a point in doing it.
No worries. So, who rolled a 20 or above?
Yep.
Perfect. Malice, what did you get?
I got a kinky 21.
Between 15 and 20?
19.
19, so that is Rossi. And between a 10 and a 15?
13.
Okay, and Protea?
10.
10. So that puts Vega there. Protea. And then that's you last, right, Jamie?
Yeah, coming in with a 7.
Nice. Okay. Malice, that puts you first. Because you sort of still on the edge, I'd say you're about 50 foot away from either one, depending on which direction you want to go.
Okay. They both look identical. We've got identical twins.
One of them's missing a sword.
I'm gonna go for the one that isn't missing the sword, and because they're the bigger threat. And as evil as Malice likes to think that he is, kind of doesn't want the child to get hit by an actual sword.
It's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna burn them as soon as your turn is on. I know it's fine. So I'm gonna go to the other one and trident him like a tasty morsel.
Nice. So are you just chucking the trident? Or can you move? Yeah. How much speed do you have? Because they're about 50
How much
foot away.
speed do I have? I have 30 foot walking. So yeah, I'm gonna trident him and just kind of throw it.
Nice. So you have a nice little jog, and then you pull your trident and you start to chuck it. What do you roll?
I roll a 1 minute maths. 12, 13,
No, it's
16, 17, 18, 19.
19 hits. Square in the chest, this trident launches its way through the air and then smashes this thing in its chest.
Excellent.
What a damage die, please?
It's a D8, and I am going to decide to deal max damage.
Nice. So that's 8 plus your strength.
Yep, so that's 8 plus 4, which is 12 damage. And then
Nice.
I'm going to add a psionic strike onto that. So
And what's the max of that?
that is a D8 plus 2, so that's 10.
Sweet. So what's that in total? Sorry?
You're asking the wrong person about
8
max.
plus 22. Thank you very much. 22. Perfect. Yeah, this, like, with unnatural speed, you almost throw it, and then you all notice that this trident actually gets faster in the air, like it speeds up as you psionically amplify it, and it just carves itself, going right down to the fork end, straight into this large orc monster's chest. It screams out in pain, and as you do so, you hear all the goblinoids from either side just like put their hands in the air and just start screaming.
And for my second attack,
Nice.
I'm just going to take out a javelin and just go to town.
Launch it. No worries. Yeah, launch a javelin.
So that was a dirty 20 on that one.
Definitely hits.
Awesome. And that's a D6. Let's roll this bad boy. That is 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 8 of the damage.
8 of the finest damage.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, you absolutely destroy this thing as you throw another javelin straight into its thigh. It screams out in pain and looks at you, making like eye contact with you. Any extra things you'd like to do or can do?
I am going to use my bonus action to recover one of my psychic slots because I can do that.
Perfect. Nice. So yeah, you as it looks you dead in the eye, you sort of use this time to steel yourself and focus as you recharge your inner sort of psionic abilities. It is now Veracity, your turn. What would you like to do?
Is there a way I can trap both of them at a 20-foot diameter without trapping any of my party?
Unfortunately, they're about 100 feet away from each other.
Then I won't do the cool thing. In that case, I don't want to get Sparky out because I've only got one wild shape left and I might need it if I'm dying. Let's cast Scorching Ray at 3rd level. So that is 4 Scorching Rays. How poorly does the one Malice was hitting look?
It's looking okay.
It's looking pretty fine.
Yeah, it's looking fine.
Cool. Let's send all 4 aiming at them, maybe with a retcon if they die after 3.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay, let's see. I have a +8 to hit, and the lowest on the dice is a 12, so the lowest is a dirty 20. I've got 12, 12, 15, 15 to hit with the 4 rays.
They all hit.
Cool. So then that is 8d6. I'm going to be kind and use my app because that's a lot of dice. 8d6. That is 29 points of damage.
Beautiful. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. How do you cast your burning scorching rays? Sorry.
I think she just holds out a palm and flame shoots out into their eyeballs.
Beautiful. These bolts of fire just start absolutely canning out of Veracity's hand, and the orc, whilst dead-eyeing Malice, just takes them to the face as it boom, 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 these explosions just start happening. Part of its horn starts to chip off with just pure explosion as it looks and just roars. It charges straight at Malice, going in for a bite with its mouth. It rolls a not very good 15.
Does not hit me.
A 15 will not, and then takes a large swing with its great sword. Using both hands, it comes down for a 19.
Yep.
It, as you sort of hold up a javelin, it just breaks through and carves a big chunk into your shoulder, dealing 11 points of slashing damage against
Okay, that's
you.
not so bad.
It roars as spittle comes out of you, and you can see that this orc, it was once an orc, but has become somehow mutated, and its skin, usually orcs have either bluish or greenish skin. This one is almost black and grey, and with speckles of white. It seems unnatural. Especially with all the spikes protruding from itself. That kind of is probably the biggest giveaway. It is now Vega, your turn. There is one to the right and one to the left. Malice and Veracity seem to be taking the one on the left. The one on the right does not have a sword. What would you like to do?
So the first thing I'm going to do is technically this ability that comes from a magic item, but for flavor, I'm going to say it's the wind part of my 4 elements sort of powers. An eagle whistle, which it's not an action, it's not a bonus action. I take there's a deep breath and of the various kind of symbols trimmed and dyed into Vega's fur. There are sort of some white circles on his side, and he takes a breath, and it's like he's blowing air out through those white circles, and it makes a whistling noise. And Vega just sort of jumps off into the air and starts flying.
Beautiful.
So I will fly over towards the one with no sword on the right, you said?
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm just going to take two attacks at it with my spear.
Lovely.
So the
So yeah,
first
you
attack,
can do that. You can do that up to 5 plus your Constitution modifier rounds. Essentially,
Yes.
yeah, just blowing.
so, which is so that's 20 rounds I can fly for. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
Constitution modifier.
yeah, 5
What's your-
times the con modifier.
It's just plus.
Is it just
Oh
plus?
yeah, no, you're right. No, it's 5.
No, no,
it's 5 times your Constitution modifier. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Yep. Beautiful.
So that first attack was 17 on the dice, so that's a 24 to hit.
Oh yeah.
And the second one is a nat 20.
Yay!
So let me pull a lovely card. It'll be a bludgeoning, won't it? Oh no, it's a spear. Did you say?
It's a spear, yeah.
So that's piercing,
Piercing.
which is better. Quadruple damage, pierce thigh. So when you roll your second attack, it's with quadruple damage, 4 times what
Amazing.
you roll.
So my first one, where are we? D8. 6 plus 4, so that's 10. And then quadruple damage.
Yes. So
So-
either roll it 4 times or times your dice by 4, whichever you prefer.
5, 7, 13, and 16
Plus.
plus 4 is I can do I multiply the strength as well.
No, that's
So yeah, just plus 4, so that was another 20, so 30 points of damage all in.
nice. Yeah, Vega almost blows himself off the ground and just lunges in with the spear, slashing at its face as it cuts like a big gash into this orc's face, and then shoving the spear down into its thigh. It screams out its pain as the spear goes through the muscle, through the bone, and then you pull it back out again. Any bonus action attacks or anything like that you'd like to do?
How's it looking?
It's still like, that was a massive hit, but it's still okay. Like, it's,
It doesn't look bloodied?
It does not. There's a lot
Okay.
of blood, but not bloodied, my friend.
Then in that case, I am going to bonus action Step of the Wind and fly out of its range.
Nice.
Okay, so that'll have an opportunity attack then.
Yeah.
It will actually, to be fair, it can use its reaction.
Oh wait, hang on. Step of the Wind is a disengage.
It can actually use its reaction to an attack. So in response to being hit by a melee attack, this
Okay.
creature can make 1 melee weapon attack. So it'll just punch at you, because that's all it can do, because it's there. 15 won't hit you, will it?
It will not.
Yeah. It swings out at you as you just before you disengage, you like duck under and then you out of the way. It is now its turn. How high up would you say you are?
Like 20 feet.
I don't think this is smart enough. It's just gonna sort of jump in the air and try and claw at you, but it's pretty strong actually. Let me just check jump rules. See how high it can jump. Oh, how high can one jump? I actually typed in 1 as well for some reason. Oh, here we go. You can jump a distance equal to your strength score. So, yeah, that's a long jump. Feet equal to 3 plus your strength modifier. It can reach you. Oh no, it can't.
This has been a roller
How
coaster.
tall is
It
it?
really has.
I mean, I said 20 feet without knowing how tall it is.
It's not tall. It's not tall enough to catch it. No, it's not. It's a medium creature,
Okay.
but it won't be able to anyway, because it would only be able to move 5 foot higher than itself, which is not enough. Not enough. Even at 10 foot, even if it was 10 foot tall, it would not be able to get you, and that's like a large creature.
Yeah.
So it jumps up just aimlessly, like "Rah!" jumping over you. But yeah, that's about it. It's now Protea, your turn.
Great. So they are 100 feet away from each other still.
Yes. One is engaged with Malice about 30 foot away from you, and Vega, I believe, moved 50 foot towards it.
And how far away is the leader?
Oh, he's 100 foot away from you on the other side.
Is he 100 foot away from either of the boys? Either of these orcs?
He's about 50 foot away from them.
Great.
150, and then the other one would be 70.
Excellent. I would like to cast. Yes, Tasha's Mind Whip. At 3rd level, can one orc and the leader both make me an intelligence save?
What level spell is
Tasha's Mind Whip is at 3rd. I'm casting it at 3rd.
I think I'm correct. Give me a second. Yeah. As you do so, one of the robed figures next to the leader puts up a hand and counterspells you
So
As they
the
see-
spell doesn't work at all.
as they see you aim for the leader.
Far away am I? Just out of interest from the road figure.
You're 100 foot away from them.
Because wouldn't they have to be 60 foot away from
Yeah, to do a counter
the
spell.
player?
Let me check then. Because it might, I don't know if it's the caster, you cast it on, or the spell itself. Oh no, it's a creature, so you're right. Go for it.
Okay.
So they need to make a wisdom saving throw.
int.
Intelligence. Okay, give me uno secondo.
Just because
No
if not, I
worries.
was going to play counterspell.
Just keep booping.
Get into
Counterspell
it.
chain is a good one.
Yeah.
An intelligence saving throw. Oh, it rolled a 2. It
Nope.
has a -1, so the Tanaruk fails.
Great.
And the Hobgoblin rolled a 19.
Okay. Well, it was worth a shot.
The Hobgoblin warlord sort of like looks at you and crosses his arms. Does anything happen to them? It's just
If it does, it just says on a failed save. There's nothing on a successful save. Yes. Okay. Right. On a successful save. Let's do the fail one first because it's fun.
yes.
Right. Ha ha.
I'm enjoying the
Excellent.
excitement on your face right now.
Thank you.
How many goblins do you get with this as well?
What?
Is it just 2 targets?
It's just 2 targets.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because that'd be funny if you got like a whole room of goblins.
No, sadly. So the first one takes 15 point. The one that's 50 foot away from the first one takes 15 points of psychic damage,
Nice.
and it cannot take a reaction until the end of its next turn. Moreover, on its next turn, it must choose whether it gets a move, an action, or a bonus action. It only gets 1 of the 3.
Nice.
Okay, so it can only take an action or a bonus action, did you say?
Or move.
Or move. Cool.
And the main man gets 8 points of damage.
Nice.
Psychic damage.
They like grip their head and they look up at you and they are not pleased with you.
Oh, sorry. Are we not being welcoming?
It is now any bonus action or anything like that?
I don't believe I have one that is. Yes, I am going to phase step as far away as possible down towards the down, like just in front of him, and I'm in a season right now.
Sorry, do you want to move closer to who?
I want to move closer to the head honcho.
So you want to move. Do you want to use your movement as well to get 60 foot?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you'd be 40 foot away from him.
Yeah, and then yep, that's it. That's it.
Nice.
I'm not going to use my spring action.
Awesome. Okay, Jamie, it is now your turn.
The one that Vega has gone and punched around, speared around, sorry. How far away is that from me? Did you say 50 or 30?
Malice is within 30 foot. Vega is within 50.
Right, so two have gone that way. So I'm going to go right, following in Vega's step. Oh, I can't follow your steps either because you flew there. I'll follow in the direction. There we go. On my way, getting my hexy time out. And as you can almost see around this orc, almost like a shadowed constrictor snake, just wrapping itself around the orc and almost like tightening him up slightly. Nothing to actually affect him, but he's hexed.
Okay.
Cast my hex. Can I cast and cantrip, or is it just one spell around?
If it's a bonus action cantrip, the hex is a bonus action spell,
Yeah.
isn't it? So you can cast a full action cantrip.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I was just checking. And then as I am running towards, because I can't get the full 50 feet this round, I will just Eldritch Blast.
Nice.
Roll damage and to
Get
attack.
some damage downrange. So we've got a 23 to hit
Ooh.
and a 15 to hit.
Both hit.
Beautiful. So
roll that damage.
we gotta.
That's a lot of damage.
21 points
Very.
damage. Oh, did you want me to split that up between the hex and the force
No,
damage?
just add it in total. It's fine.
Yeah, that's all of it.
Yeah.
Both of them together. That's the hex and Eldritch Blasts.
Yeah, these creatures don't have any
Cool.
things to that. How did your hex blade, hex and then magic kind of join into this wonderful attack?
The hex wraps around the orc almost like a constrictor snake, just like shadowy snakiness descriptions. And as you imagine, because I'm basic, the Eldritch Blast is just balled up, almost like a mini storm of shadowy twilight inside a ball that gets
Nice.
launched. And
They
it
fire out. Sorry, go on.
and explodes.
They fire out just these massive dark explosions bounce off of this this orcish creature as it screams out in pain. It turns its attention to you, and it is now the top of the round. Malice, your go. You are currently in combat with this creature.
Okay. Where is my trident? Because I threw it last time.
In its chest.
In
So I'd
its
say that you could easily, like, as a free action, pull it out and use it again.
Cool. While I pull it out with my free action, I'd like to just say, sorry, buddy. You know, it's just a job. It's how it goes. Maybe one day we'll be on the other side of this as quickly as I can. Before I plunge it back in.
Nice. Roll to hit.
Oh, and I actually forgot there was a save and then an additional effect of the sidekick thrust last time.
Oh, nice. What was it?
It needed to make I think it was a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, it's good at those. But not when you rolled like shite. So an 8, I doubt will do anything.
Nope, that failed. So it was actually, that means that it goes prone.
Sweet. So it's on the floor as you pull this trident out. It's just sorry, buddy. Nice.
It's just the
Roll
game.
to attack at advantage.
At advantage, great.
Yeah, it's prone. It's a melee attack. What's that?
That's an natural 20.
Natural 20?
Nice.
And I've attacked with my special trident.
Oh, yay.
Is that piercing damage?
Yes, it is.
So, shoulder jab, maximum double damage. You
Nice.
stab it into its shoulder, and what is it, a DA?
Yeah, it's a D8.
So that's 16 plus your strength, which is
4.
4, so that's 20. And then what's the extra staffy stuff? Or trident stuff?
So, let's see. It does an extra 10 necrotic damage.
So that's 30.
30. And I get 10 temporary hit points from it.
Nice. You get 10 temporary hit points.
Yeah.
As you stab this trident into the creature and start to like suck the life essence out of it. You notice his body like gets like thinner and weaker, and the strength and the muscles that were once there kind of like crumble into itself. And in common it says, "I will eat your face," and it's going to make an attack roll at you.
Okay, I do get another attack in a moment, or is this a reaction?
Yeah, I think it's a reaction, and I think you're going to kill it in a second.
Okay.
Because a 13's not going to hit you.
Nah.
Go on, get it. Kill
Cool.
it.
I'm just gonna shrug and say, not today, and take it out and go back in. Okay,
hit.
that is
At advantage again because it's still prone.
brilliant. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yes.
You hit it. Yeah, how do you kill this creature? Because just with your modifiers, you kill it.
Excellent. I would like to just shrug and just say, sorry, bud, and bring it down so hard that the ribs just kind of go in a little bit.
Nice. You literally put your trident into the ground, and it just so happens this orcish monster is in the way as you concave it inwards. And as you do so, the crowd all stands and are like screaming, like bits of chicken are being thrown, and like people are hugging each other, and like a goblin excitedly falls over into the sand pit and is like trying to find a way out so that it doesn't get killed.
He's in it now.
He's in it now. Yeah, that's the Veracity.
I will
is
kill
your
that
turn.
goblin. No, the other one's looking pretty healthy, right?
It's not looking as healthy as it once looked after Jamie said hello.
But not blooded.
No.
Am I within 30 feet? I'd like to be within 30 feet. I have no idea where I am on the sandpit.
You could be within 30 feet if you wanted to be.
I will move as close as I can, I think.
No?
My friends are taking a beating and I haven't at all, so I will try and be a bit distracting.
Yeah, go for it.
And then, they look quite con heavy, but we'll see how this goes. I think I'd like to cast Blight.
Okay.
Fourth level.
Yeah, nice. So it needs a con save, yeah?
Yeah, 16.
If you don't ever roll above, 5, how could you?
Did George touch your dice?
I think it's just these creatures. These creatures just don't want to roll above 5, apparently.
Well, you
It
fail.
got 7.
You fail, so that means 8d8 damage.
Here we go again.
Oh.
I'm very nearly out of spell slots, so I thought I'd better make it count. 8.
Very fortuitous there wasn't 3 of these.
Oh, well, then I'd have done an AoE spell, obviously, now.
Yeah, to be fair, if there had been 3, the amount of AoE stuff you'd have been able to do would have increased.
That is 44 points of damage.
How do you kill it? Because that's what happens. You kill it dead.
Okay. I think Veracity looks less chirpy than she usually does. The light in her eyes seems to dim for a second, and then from her feet, snaking to Big Orc Boy, is like just a stream of sickness. Like the sand just seems to cave in, and I was going to say yellow, but it's sand, dark and black and look more like ash than sand, and this snakes its way toward the wraps around the ankles and then winds up. And when it gets to the neck, chokes.
Nice. It falls down, like trying to breathe for air, and you can see that its veins start to like turn black as its eyes roll into its sockets, and it drops onto the ground dead. As you do so, like you see bugbears holding up goblins in celebration. The drumming starts again, and you can hear the chanting. Before we continue, Vega, Protea, and Jamie, is there anything that you'd like to do before we go out of initiative?
I feel like I'll let Protea go first because
I was gonna say, I feel like Protea's the only one that's gonna be.
It'll dictate what Jamie will do. To be fair, so.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm just. Oh boy. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking something because this is very cheesy if it does work, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Yeah. I'm going to raise my hands and go, I would quite happily do it again. Explain.
Are you shouting that over the braying mob?
Yeah.
To the hobgoblin?
Yeah.
The hobgoblin puts his hand up again, and the crowd silence. And he looks and he says, I'm really sorry, I missed that. Could you say it one more time, please?
Sure. I said I'd quite happily do that again if you could explain.
Explain. He smiles at you. And I think that was somebody just either farting or a motorbike going past the house.
More mind.
No.
I see you actually indicate. Oh no, that was me. He stands up and picks up this large battle axe, walks forward and drops to the ground in like the classic superhero pose, 3-point landing. Then stands and turns in goblinoid and speaks to the rest of them and says, Maglubiot's chosen have arrived. Come on, let's feast. And he points towards the doors, and ladders start to drop as goblins sort of like start to come down. Bugbears all start to come down. You notice that the 8 robed figures don't move. And he comes up to you, Protea, and just sort of like puts his hands up, and he's like still holding the battle axe, but so that you can see it. And he's like, we're not all enemies. Please, come outside. We'll feast, have a talk, and I will explain. And he smiles at you.
Aren't they coming? And it's quite rude to sit down to eat if you don't have all your guests there.
Do you point to the 8 robed figures?
I do.
He looks back and he says, they'll probably join us soon.
I'm Protea. What's your name?
My name is Rolvok. And he smiles at you and starts to walk towards the rest of your group as well. He sort of like waves at you all individually, and you see like the odd goblin sort of like look at you all, be like, oh, and then just like scuttle away. They're all very excited that you're here. You see like the blue dragon start to move, and he turns and shouts at it. And you hear him say the word "stay" like that, and then the dragon like cowers a little bit, and he's like, "Come on, let's go outside." And you notice the 8 robed figures sort of convene within each other, and they're talking next to this blue dragon. He leads you guys outside, and there is a bit more life coming now, and the evening air is starting to set in. It's still a little bit sunny, so it's got that kind of like orange sunset vibe going on as fires are made and more food is being cooked and served, and some tables are put out for you all. Underneath what you can see is this large sort of tent area, and he takes a seat in the middle and indicates for you all to sit around this table with him.
Protea is going to sidle up to Malice and try and sit next to him. But then, yeah. And just go, so when you said the dragons weren't great, how like not great are we talking?
It tends to depend on the dragon specifically.
Like people?
Yeah, they've all got their own thing, their own personality, really.
Okay. Somebody else do the talking.
As you all come to sit down, food is brought to you, and it is mainly meat, cooked meat, and some very badly knobbly looking vegetables that don't really seem to have been washed before they've been cooked and things like that.
Big is loving it, ignoring the vegetables entirely.
Rolvok sort of looks a little bit embarrassed and turns to you all, and he's like, I'm really sorry. The people here don't really understand yet what a good meal is. They're trying their best, and
I'm sorry, you're apologizing to us for the food, but not for the ambush and the like pitch battle in an arena. You have very strange ideas of what to apologize for.
He looks around as you say that, and he says, he sort of looks around as like goblins and bugbears are still serving you, and he says, it's Magla by its will, so it is what it is.
That's a terrible answer.
I'm sorry that it doesn't fit better for you. My name is Rolvok. I am a king from the far into the Wastelands of a city called Arkanharsa. It is not like here. It is what I imagine maybe cities like where you're from are like, but deep into the Wastelands. And this wasn't my first. Well, this is the best choice I have. The goblins start to exit the tent, leaving you, and Rolvok by yourselves. He says, I'm really sorry. Could I get all of your names? I've met Protea, but I've not been introduced to any of you.
My name is Vega.
He nods at you.
We're being too polite, all of us. I'm Jamie.
Okay, I think I know how this works. My name is not important to you, my lord. I will be of service.
No. Haha, funny joke. No, unless you're with us, right?
Are we not now with them?
No,
I thought that's
no. Until we figure out what on earth his god's will is, I'm not committing us as a team. We've got a job that we're already on.
Okay, so we're Protea's predators first and foremost.
Yes.
Okay, my lady.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I thought I had to wait until I was a bit older to get that sort of treatment, but I'll take it. Sorry.
Rolvo looks down at Veracity and says, "And you?"
You're not my king. And I think I want a better answer of why we could have just died and now we're having a party before I tell you who I am or sit at your table.
Are you still stood then?
Yeah.
Huh? He leans back and he says, "Fair enough."
For flavour, she's probably stood on the bench so she can look him in the eye.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nice.
He leans back and looks at you and he's like, "Fair enough. My city was taken from me by an army of individuals whose power vastly exceeded our own. The original idea was to come to Faerun, I believe this place is called, and take it by force. I would rally the rest of the goblins and bugbears that were in this lands, along with the ogres and giants, and slowly but surely we would destroy your civilization and way of life as you know it. However, I did not think that appeasing. What I decided after having, and he looks around again, a vision from our god Maglubayet was...
Can I insight check
this-
that?
Yes, you may make an insight check.
9.
This man seems put out. Like he doesn't want to be here, and he doesn't want to be doing this. So you get. The vision was of the city, and I told our head shaman of the Unholy Covenant that Maglubayet had told me that we must take our city back before we had to make any moves forward to further. The city was built for Maglubayet. The city was made for it. If we cannot protect our own, how can we conquer further? We've lost an empire due to that city being lost, and we must retake it before doing anything further. And I think you'll agree that this benefits Faerun more than us coming in and taking this land.
Really? Because at the moment you're a ragtag band of weirdos. But if you go and get your city and get all your power and your empire back, then you will be scary.
I came alone with just the convert. I have an army waiting back in the Wastelands. They would march forward if we asked them to. This was purely ritualistic. Our army would grow day by day as well, with the amount of goblinoids that have been pushed out to the fringes of this society.
Could I just ask though, how do they know to come? Or when is the time to?
Who?
Oh, the rest of your army.
I suppose I'd just ride out on the dragon and call them.
I still don't quite understand. My friend here made a very good point, though. Why bother with us? We've got another job to do.
Do you not think it's coincidental that your job led you to us?
You were literally on the road. So, bit
And
coincidental.
you are literally the last chance we have at saving our home.
Does this mean you've killed 147 other adventurers just to sort of... You could have sent a messenger.
That's not the way Maglubayet works. And
Yeah, that's
in
not going to
fairness-
make us want to work for Maglabayak.
It was the orcs. He jokes.
Hey,
Sorry,
inside check all
What
of
was
this.
the orcs?
Yeah, make an insight check.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
confused for everything. 23.
When,
No, sorry,
Veracity
22.
said- when Veracity said, you killed all these people that came looking for you, he said, in fairness, that was the orcs. That was the orc thing. Watching him from start to finish, he is being very careful about who can hear what he's saying. He is not speaking freely, nor is he speaking honestly. Not because he's trying to deceive you specifically, but you gather that he's putting on airs for someone. And as you sort of notice, he seems to be very much invested in you helping him. It's important to him that you guys are on side, and he doesn't want to come across as uncaring, but he's certainly putting on a show for someone. And as you notice that, the cloaked figures enter the tent and start to take seats around the benches as well. As they get closer, they start to take off their hoods, and you notice they're all hobgoblins as well, that they've got tribal tattoos sort of all over them, these flaming axes and other sort of variations as such. One of them sits next to Rulvuk and looks at him, and he nods with respect.
Oh, sorry. I thought you nodded. If you were the king, people would nod to you. Is that not how it works where you're from?
The woman, female hobgoblin that he nodded to, looks at you and turns to Rulvuk and says, I am surprised the champions of Maglabayat have such sharp tongues to those who allow them to live.
Sorry, do
The
you want...
champions, we didn't get allowed to live. We won the battle.
This is Maglabayat's will, she says, and nods at you.
It wasn't. It was because we're all very good at fighting, actually.
She listens to you, but she does not even react to what you said.
Can I message as sneakily as I can the king, as unobtrusively as possible, and just, you clearly can't talk freely here. Later.
Make a sleight of hand check. Got to be an 11.
Gotta beat an 11. Okay, that's not terrible. As in to beat my sleight of hand. 14.
He looks at you and he says, later it is. Telepathically towards you.
With that, then, Veracity will look very ashamed of herself, of her rudeness towards these fantastic priests of Maglabayak, and sit down and go, my name's Veracity. Hello.
The priestess looks at you and just sort of like looks down at you. They didn't ask your name and they don't care. Rulvuk looks at you and he says, Veracity, it's good to meet you. Good to meet you. Please enjoy the food, and accept this as potentially a tool to use. And he pulls the battle axe from his side, and it is this large, chunky battle axe, almost like more thick than it is sharp. But you notice that there are serrated edges to it. He puts it on the table in a clear space in front of you all, and he says, this is wielded by the leader of our city. You are the chosen 5. One of you may wield this, but I warn you, it is extremely powerful, and those that must wield it must be strong of heart, for it will take you.
Amy's gonna look to Malice. Can I get it?
But my heart is very famously very weak.
I mean, this could be, a learning curve for Don't forget, the mother would be very proud.
Oh yeah, she was terrifying the last time I saw her. Okay, and the heart is a muscle. It can be built up like any muscle, right?
Yeah.
Even metaphorically. Okay. I will accept the axe.
He hands it to you, and it is rather heavy, but it's still like completely wieldable. It is a battle axe, but it'll take some time to get attuned to.
Protea will go, I'm so sorry. I just need to pop off to the the powder room.
Rolvok sort of like scrunches his face up, and he's like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but again, these people aren't used to the luxuries that you and I may afford. The powder room may be rather open and more of a hole in the ground that one would have to dig by yourself.
There was sand back in the pits. I'll go do that.
Please don't do it in the pits.
Well, you don't need it anymore. You found us.
No, but we might use that area again. I just don't really want you doing anything in the middle of. I really
Please don't shit in my arena.
I really like it.
Shit in your arena.
I really
My lady,
I had to
here.
explain why it's not doing your business in the middle of a large open room would be a bad idea, but
No.
Go
That's
for it.
fair. I'll just, and Protea just sort of gestures and
Milady,
gestures to the
please
woods.
take my shield.
No, Malice.
Just to, for privacy. Here, have it.
I'll be fine. Trust me, I'll be fine. But thank you for the offer. And Protea's going to look Vega dead in the eye, and just like raise her eyebrows, and then take off towards the
Can I?
where the pit was, or where the woods next to the pit would be.
Can I subtle spell with my meta magic to Protea and just be like, what are you up to?
I need to roll an insight on that look.
if you don't think you got it, then yeah, roll it in.
Oh, great. 9.
You just okay then. It really needs the loo, I guess.
Just like, ooh, that hurts.
Oh yeah. But sorry, what did your meta magic do? What is it, like message?
Subtle spell. It means I can do it without verbal or somatic component stuff, so I can do it without anybody noticing I'm casting a spell.
Is it message? Or?
Yeah, message.
Then it's, I want a dragon friend, don't you?
I'll spend another point. I've had dragon overlords before. Play your cards smartly.
She's going to say, actually, I know this sounds really silly, but won't you come with me just so I'm not using the loo on my own? You know how it is.
Yeah, she will immediately stand up and sort of like brush herself up and go, ladies should never go to the toilet on their own. And
No,
she's going to-
just in case, for safety if nothing else, and a lookout so that, you know. Right.
If you want my shield, you can
Got
still
one.
have it.
No, it's all right, man.
Cool.
I hate Protea so much.
So you guys get up and you leave together. Are you heading towards the pits, or are you actually going to the toilet?
I assume the pits are, it's in a cave, right?
Yeah, you have to go back into the cave.
I'm gonna do it. We're going
Yeah.
to head towards the as close to the cave as there are trees, I guess.
Are you trying to be like stealthy?
Not quite yet, because my idea would be I would then make us invisible in a second.
I'm going to be using my umbrella as a nice covering and just slowly twizzling it. Keep your modesty, let's say.
Goblins aren't particularly good at anything, and they just sort of carry on. It's a very bustling camp, and that kind of bustle and hustle shades you more than anything. As you two make your way towards the cave entrance, Rolvik looks at you, Malice, as you take the axe. And they say, my great-grandmother found that when she first founded our city of Arkanharasa. I hope that you have as much strength as she did. She inspired me to use... Well, she was known as the greatest battle lord for the fact that she used our enemy's strength as her own. And I try to emanate that as much as I can.
It sounds like quite a grandma. Thank you. I will try and live up to her memory.
Bless you. Well, let's eat. The priestess looks at all three of you left and says, you don't really look like the conquering type. What makes you think you can take this city back?
We haven't said we can take this city back. We followed a trail of dead bodies and found you folk who are now being like, champion, city, megabyte god. Like, don't you dare turn around and be like, oh, what makes you think you could do this? When it was you who said we could do this in the first place.
She looks at
Rusty
Rolvik.
is tired.
She looks at Rolvik, and Rolvik nervously sort of looks at you all, holding his sort of stand. He's like, well, as we all saw, you are rather powerful, and what are your skills? And he like side eyes the priestess, who then turns and looks at all three of you again.
Can I ping a message to the king going, lie or honesty?
I feel like you've just seen a lot of our skills.
Rolvik mentally says to you, just sell yourself as best you can, please. And to you, Vega, he says, a couple of orcs that have been corrupted by magic aren't really going to hold up against what we faced. Are you not... Is there not something about you? Where are you from? Who are you? Why has Maglabayat sent you to us? Surely you are beings of renown or power.
Well, yes, obviously, both. We all are.
We are?
Yes, of course, Malice.
The priestess looks at you and is like, you are.
Have you not heard of... Right, let's see how well Veracity can spin a tale. Cool, she can do it really well. Let's see if I can. Have you not heard of the Archfey Drusilda, the Jam Conservator, and the Watcher, and the brave adventurers who went to a demiplane, destroyed multiple enemies, and the plant behemoth that dwelt there brought back the most powerful artifact of our time, and defeated the centuries' machinations of some of the most powerful and fiendish archfey that have ever been. For it was I, Veracity, who led that party, and through my amazing mastery of the elemental flames and the power of my friendship and my quick thinking and sharp wits brought all laid low before me.
Oh, tell us more.
Could you just watch Seekers of Elturel Buried and you'll get that.
Can you roll, I think because you did such a good job, can you roll either a persuasion or a deception? Because you are sprinkling in a few fibs of leading a group and things like that.
What do you say? I think deception, because Veracity definitely doesn't believe she's that great.
Awesome.
At advantage, that's another 19. The other one was a 2, so that is 21.
Beautiful. Meanwhile, Protea and Jamie, have you cast invisibility and are slowly sneaking your way down to the cave?
Well, I can do that. Or I can dimension door.
Whichever you prefer.
Visibility gives us less chance of getting caught once we're there. But
Yeah. So I'm going to cast invisibility. And we're just going to go.
You both head down, and it is quite empty. So there is no one there. Everybody's outside enjoying themselves. The dragon, however, is still chained up. What would you like to say to each other as you go down? Let me get some stats up.
Great.
should we inform the rest of what we are potentially doing?
I suppose we should, but I've got no way of doing that.
I could pass a message on to them all individually, or just one of them. I saw you were trying to get eye contact with Vega. I could let him know.
Well, yes, I assume I've made my point to Vega, but sure, message who you like. I just think that, well, I don't know about you, but this king doesn't seem very kingly. And the only thing of real power are those weird robed figures, and gosh, the fashion is just dire. And the other thing's the dragon. And I'd quite like to be friends with the dragon, who's very powerful, and if it's chained up, maybe we unchain it and we become the people that these people, we just get left alone, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you speak to a dragon?
I assume so. What do dragons speak?
Generally draconic. I mean, a couple are rather astute and can speak our own languages, but one does not want to assume.
Unfortunately, I've just got Common Elvish and Infernal for the parties. Darn.
How about I send that message and then we can get an idea of what Vega's thinking and form an idea. I mean, getting the dragon on side, I'm like half with you on this plan. I feel like getting the dragon on side is a good idea, but releasing him immediately may backfire for us, because I don't know if you did notice, but that dragon was incredibly well trained. So even if we did release it, us getting squished and crisped.
Well, at least having a chat. Okay. Yep, send the message.
Okay, I will point back in the direction of where Vega would be, and just say, so we've had a fantastic idea of going to have a little conversation with the dragon. So do with that information if you will.
Cough about a bit of beat. Just kind of like, oh, what?
I know, it's an amazing story. Tell us more about this watcher. Vega, what do you send back?
Sorry, can you finish the end of it again? I missed it. I talked over you. My bad.
Toodles. I feel like I will have stated at some point that this is Protea's idea. She's not taking any responsibility for this.
Yes, good.
Okay, for my benefit, because I can't remember, I wasn't paying enough attention. Who was it that gave the order to the dragon to stay?
It was the king.
It was the king. And I've forgotten his name now. I want to call him Kobold.
Rolvok?
Rolvok. Rolvok, can you tell me how did you come to have a dragon in your service?
Oh, it was flying around these mountains, so I put it down for a bit.
And you seem to have it very well trained.
Well, You've never fought a dragon before?
No, I have not.
Presumably you've been to a demiplane like Veracity then.
No, I haven't.
Well, dragons can be a bit of a nuisance, but, well, when you're trained like we are, then things don't tend to be a problem.
I see. You're not concerned that it will get free and do you harm?
The chains that bind it are very tight, and the hand that tamed it is tight as still. If it were to escape at any point, I'd say it's probably going to run for its life. For I promised it if it did try, I would kill it.
I understand.
They are, well, mean-spirited creatures.
I'll have to take your word for it. I wouldn't know.
Anyway, you were saying about the stone plane. But yeah, Vega, are you?
I think at that point I would just go and then. Well, if you'll excuse me, I think I also have to make a trip to the woods.
Then I would too.
At that point, the priestess says, "Your friends have been gone an awfully long time."
Oh, Protea's terribly fussy. Nowhere's good enough for her. She's probably spent the entire time trying to find the perfect patch of wood with like a little golden throne for her. It's just who she is.
You don't. I was going to say you don't actually know what's going on. So make a persuasion check because that's not even a deception.
I'm assuming that she's doing something, and this sounds likely.
Whatever you think is better.
Natural
Deception
20.
up. Let me get you another card.
It's 22
Give me
total.
a second. So the next one you have is succeed on a skill check. So write that down.
I can just succeed. Amazing.
You can just succeed on a skill check.
That's better than rolling a d10 where I get 2.
So the priestess just sort of sneers a little bit at you.
Veracity's going to burn her alive at some point.
I am so looking forward to it.
It doesn't do anything. Protea and Jamie and Vega first. Where do you head?
Oh, I'm heading to the pit.
Not to the bathroom?
No.
Yeah, you can sneak by. Whilst Vega is sneaking towards you, Protea and Jamie, what are you doing?
Heading down towards the dragon, I guess.
I would say by this point you're in the pit. The dragon is still chained up to the other side. You can make your way up to it if you like.
Yeah. Greetings.
It eyes you as soon as you walk in.
If you wish,
Greetings.
if he does not speak common, he may do.
I'll try it in common
and
first.
I can translate to Draconic for you.
Oh, brilliant. Can you tell them hello?
She will say hello in Draconic.
The dragon moves, and you notice that the chains go all along the outside of the arena. They're pinned to the wall, but the chains sort of allow a little bit of movement. And as they move to sort of turn to face you, you hear the movement of all the chains tighten on one side and loosen on the other, and it sort of like looks down at you from behind this throne. Its horn, you can see, has sort of been like clamped by this metal shackle, and you can see like almost a muzzle made out of metal attached to its head.
What would you like to say?
I was hoping it would say hello back.
You can hear like a low guttural growl from it.
Well,
Almost like the sound Predator makes.
it's not necessarily a hello, but I wouldn't entirely say it's a positive interaction so far.
Yeah, I would say your experience with dragons are a lot nicer than this.
Yeah, it's almost like...
Roll a insight check, Jamie, at advantage.
some insight into this dragon.
At advantage, what did you roll?
I rolled 2 1s.
Oh no.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
unless somebody spends a card fee.
I
I
don't have one.
Was it a skill check?
don't.
Do you want to automatically succeed a skill check?
It's up to you.
No,
I still
go on
get
then.
I still get a naughty card because you rolled the 1. But
yeah,
you
I
can
don't know
play
if you
the
get
card.
2.
Go and have a success and remember that you owe me.
I owe you.
Oh my God,
Not
Rebecca.
veracity. I owe Rebecca.
No, you owe Veracity. Don't worry, Rebecca's fine with this. Veracity wants help.
This dragon, you've spent time with a dragon that's old, very, 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 very old, sophisticated, knows what it wants, knows what it is, knows what it does, has its own sort of thoughts and movements and its own individual power. And you know it very well. This is like a feral dragon. This thing is everything you'll ever read about a dragon, personified. It's really strange to see a dragon so scared, but because it's so scared, it's acting aggressive. And it
Well, yes,
recognizes
totally.
it recognizes you as sorry?
Yeah, it's just totally unfamiliar.
Yeah. But it recognizes you as something that can't kill it, so it's acting like a dragon.
I will pass on I almost break it down, like I look at each part of the dragon and almost like a dog with its hackles up and sort of explain to you like, oh, the dragon's doing that. That posture's rather strange. And she almost breaks down the dragon as she looks across it to you and out loud.
And the lightning sort of crackles from its mouth, conducting through the chains that sort of skitter across the entire room.
And I don't know if you're familiar, but if it opens its mouth, that what's going on in there will really hurt.
Oh no, I know that mouse bad is dragon.
Mouth's bad.
And I'll be honest, I'm starting to like you, so I'd rather not you go any closer.
What a pity. Well, I've met my first dragon. Well, it was nice to meet you, as if talking to you know how some people talk to dogs and not like, but in the other way that people talk to dogs as they're very important people. And
Distinguished gentleman, yes.
yes, it was very nice to meet you.
I just rolled the 1, Hannah. So you get a plus D10 after making a saving throw. So please write that down.
Okay.
Oh, no.
However, me rolling a 1 wasn't necessarily good because, as you say, please, you say, nice to meet you. It tries to roar, but its jaw is locked and it moves forward with like a springing motion, but the chains snap and grab at it. It clearly came to attack, but it can't because of the chains.
Okay, I'm going to put, I have some rations. I'm going to put some rations down on the floor, like chuck it just in front of it, just so it has something to eat. Such a pity when training goes wrong. All right, well, let's go, I suppose.
As it hears you say that, it bats it away, and one of the chairs like flies across the room, not at you, but it looks at you and continues to snarl.
All right, bye-bye.
As you start to walk out, Vega, you can hear the sounds of like things being broken as you're down the staircase.
like I would then dash down.
You reach down to the bottom, and Protea and Jamie are.
We're invisible.
Oh yeah.
So I get to. Yeah. Are you stealthing?
No, we're quite literally invisible.
Yeah, I know, but are you stealthing?
No,
You still make noise.
no. We've been talking.
Go on then. Yeah, I would say because you're not trying to stealth. Just say it's like a solid 15.
And I think
check.
the invisibility will run out relatively soon as well.
That's a 7, so I run past him.
Cool. Nobody's in the room.
We've been eaten.
Okay, I mean, if they're not there, then
I will. I'll just be like, Vega, I wouldn't go too close.
what? Oh, all right.
Meet you
Are
outside.
you're both all right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No, we are ghosts.
Yes, all right, Jamie. I'll see you outside.
Awesome. So
I'm
you
still figuring out this joking malarkey.
No, it was brilliant.
I'm
I
sorry.
loved it. But we should move.
Under
because-
different circumstances, I would have enjoyed that, but I thought you'd been crushed by a dragon for a moment there, so.
No. Meet you outside. This will run out soon. All right.
So all three of you start to make your way back upstairs. Together, do you head back to the tent?
No.
Okay.
I will suggest, shall we go back through the woods just so we actually have been to the loo?
I
Only,
think that's a good idea.
yes.
Nice. So you sort of like double back on yourself, go to the woods, stand around, and then come back.
As we're standing around, actually, maybe you should go back. I'll be a minute.
As you arrive, Protea and Jamie, the priestess stands and says, "Oh, as nice as it was listening to your stories, I think it's time we try to convene with our Dark Lord," and puts her hands to the sky, and all of the 7 of the road figures all do the same thing, and then she puts her hands together in like a lovely little monk robe thing where you can't see their hands anymore, and starts to lead the procession of the unholy convent out.
As she leaves,
Can I,
sorry.
as they go, can I just say, as an aside to veracity, cults do that sometimes. You'll get used to it.
Could I subtle spell and cast detect thoughts? I want to try and pick up the surface of what the priestess
What's going on in the room?
thinking. Yeah, as she glances over us all before she leaves.
So as she's walking out and passes you, she sort of like doesn't really look at you, but her eyes sort of flicker towards your general direction as you hear the words elven scum in her mind. And then there's like the thoughts of comfort of being able to divine from her ritual the truth of all of this, and that this seems like a waste of time. Also in the room, you can hear the thoughts of Rulvuk thanking whatever gods are listening that she's finally fucked off.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And just after they've left, then I would be arriving back.
As you do so, Rulvuk stands and closes the tent off. And he opens another section of the tent which leads into what looks like a bedroom area that is set out with sort of like a nicer bedroll and some sort of like linens and things like that. There's like a backpack on the floor that presumably is his, that is a lot nicer than any of your backpacks. Seems to be very, well, probably Protea's is probably the closest to quality, but this seems like not just for like aesthetically pleasing, it is like a really good backpack. It's like the equivalent of having like an Osprey bag compared to just having like a Nike bag. And this is sort of his quarters, and he looks at you And he turns to you all and he says, I am very sorry for what you've gone through. Please, if you'll allow, I will explain properly. And that is where we'll end our session tonight. Thank you guys for playing, and thank you guys for watching this wonderful, wonderful game with these wonderful, wonderful players. It's a pleasure to have you guys, and it's a pleasure for you guys to be here. And thank you very much for being part of this madness of dragon talking and hobgoblins and all that jazz. So thank you very much. And if you do enjoy tonight, we do play every Monday. And there are games as well on Tuesday at 6 p.m. GMT BST and 10 a.m. PT and PST. We also have extra games on Saturday. I believe we have Talk Togethers on Saturday at 6 p.m. GMT BST and 10 a.m. PT PST for Talk Together, which is our chat show. We interview our players, other DMs, and other TTRPG industry voices. All our shows are streamed at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg, and you can find all of our content archived at youtube.com/rolltogetherrpg. There's also podcast versions, again, of all our shows, so check them out on your favorite podcasting apps. Just search Roll Together RPG. Massive thank you to our Dice Heads, our D20 Patreon club. There'll be a link in chat now, so do join them. Every penny helps make this fantastic content with these fantastic players. And a big thanks again to our sponsors, Hero Forge, Ultra Pro, Elderwood Academy, and our supporters, D&D Beyond, Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, and Warriors of Waterdeep, and Level Up Dice. Don't forget, we're all over social media as Roll Together RPG. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for episode 3 of Into the Wastelands, The Eternal Army. Wah!